get scared by a bear in the neighborhood. Call Joe Murray.
I happen to trust Joe Murray.
First time I ever met Joe Murray was at a...
All right, welcome in 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. Oh, a lot to get into tonight, returning from the weekend. What a weekend it was, huh? What a weekend it was. You coming home, you haven't reacted to the Red Sox and the move they made yesterday, trading away Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants after taking care of business and sweeping the New York Yankees in a shocking move. If you want to react to it, 617-779-0985. That is the phone. We're here all night long. So just to kind of set the table for everybody, we are going to hear from Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow via Zoom at 8 o'clock tonight. We're going to go right to it. We're going to talk to Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald, who is, of course, known as a football guy, but was certainly giving his takes yesterday on the Devers stuff. We're going to talk to him. We're going to talk to Christopher Smith, sources on the ground out in Seattle. And we'll get an update on what's going on there when it comes to the Red Sox and the latest with Devers. I'm sure we are going to hear about how this was delivered to the team. Just to set you up on that, it was Alex Cora who sat down with the team. The first person to mention it. That they traded him. So that's at least what we have as of now. I know some of the players are starting to talk about it. Trevor Story's reacting to it right now as a weird time for the Red Sox based on how they're playing. He also said Alex Cora addressed the team, but nobody else has yet to address the team. So 8 o'clock tonight, we will be addressed. And I'm sure we'll hear more from Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow. 617-779-0985. We are on YouTube. I should let everybody know that. Shout out to Matt McCarthy, who came in last night when everything broke. I was listening. I heard Chase Stu call in. I heard everybody giving their opinion on this one. This was a shocker. I know it's easy to say that Rafael Devers wasn't being the best teammate and at times was, I don't want to use the word being a baby, but didn't like the way the communication happened. And when I say be a baby, they ask him to do one thing. He says, hey, you just asked me to do this. And, hey, I can't play every position. And he did disrespect the general manager. So pull all that aside. Rafael Devers was a Hall of Fame-paced baseball player. You know, he's got over 215 home runs for his career. He's got almost a 280 batting average. You know, no other Red Sox have done that before the age of 30, besides like Ted Williams and Jim Rice. So when you think about Rafael Devers, the guy could hit. He's won a championship. He was their best player. Now, was he a leader? No. Is he a good teammate? I don't know either. Like, they seem to like him. Most of the guys in there do. Seem like a guy who just liked to play baseball and make money. And it's okay to have guys do that. I will tell people that. I think in some sports, if a guy just wants to hit baseballs and have fun, and they're good at it, sometimes you have to work around those guys. And, you know, with the Red Sox, they have a lot of players playing out of position. But something has changed of late. I almost wonder if Alex Cora has gotten a little bit more of a grip on the team. I was questioning if some of maybe the veterans were calling off the new pitching style or if some of the veteran hitters, they are now starting to hit the ball much better. I know yesterday, they only had 2 hits, but I saw it change. And when they won this series and swept, it was really hard for me not to be positive about the team. So to sweep the Yankees, go above one game above 500 and go on a nice little long road trip here, I had expectations. I started to get back in. I was excited about the Red Sox again. Then they trade Rafael Devers after the game. And again, a shocking move. This again, is one of their best players, one of the best players they've had. They had Xander Bogaerts, they had Mookie Betts, they had Rafael Devers, and they chose him. Now, they chose him because of maybe all the other mistakes that they made. It's probably why they signed that deal. I think looking back on it, they regretted signing the deal. And if a team wanted to take Devers' contract off their hands, they were listening. A lot of this is going to fall on Alex Cora. A lot of this is going to fall on Craig Breslow because the Alex Bregman move. That might be where it all started. But the Red Sox wanted to make a splash. They wanted to bring in leadership, and they thought that that was a guy that could help the team. Probably should have communicated that, though, right? And what's great about this story when it comes to Rafael Devers is there's going to be people on multiple sides of this one. There's going to be people that, they made the right choice. He was a guy who was a bad influence on these young players, and, he didn't deserve the money anyways, and I bet you they go on a run now, etc. There's those guys. Then there's the crowd that says this was a terrible trade and a salary dump at one of the worst times when everybody actually started being interested in the Red Sox again. Then there's the crowd that looks at ownership and literally says ownership in the Red Sox do not care about their fans. There's so many layers to the Rafael Devers trade. Does this prove they want to compete? Does this prove that they want to compete in October? I don't have the answer for that right now. Does this prove that John Henry in the end is the judge, jury, and executioner? And it is about money? How about Craig Breslow, who I last night thought was the guy who made the move? For a minute there, I thought it was Craig Breslow who was disrespected, who probably will lose his job at some point anyways if he doesn't make another major move. Actually, maybe made the move, got the clearance from ownership without telling Cora to literally put everybody on notice. I thought that last night for a minute. I also thought last night they didn't shop him to any other team, which was reported, by the way. We come to find out other teams were interested but weren't going to take on the contract. So if you add all those things up, it points to one thing. Money. I think Rafael Devers liked Boston. I think Rafael Devers wanted to be respected in Boston and felt like if he wasn't valued, then to kindly trade him. But yesterday, the guy has one of the go-ahead home runs in the game. He's a star of the weekend. Somehow, the Red Sox swept the New York Yankees in Boston, but yet the Yankees still won the weekend because Rafael Devers is gone. So the fan base, they feel like they have now sent off another great player. The teammates wonder if there's any loyalty whatsoever. And I'm curious if the manager knew anything about this. All I can tell you is it came down to money. If another team was going to absorb the contract and Breslow wanted to do the deal and it got approved by ownership, he was gone. I think if there was a trade out there and they still had to pay money, I think Rafael Devers would still be here. They needed one team to take on the salary. And they found it. And that's why Rafael Devers got traded. That's why. In a couple areas, I do think they needed new culture or a new culture in that clubhouse. I'm almost curious if somebody else is next. And what I mean by somebody else, a Breslow, a Cora. Now, I'm not going to take a victory lap on this one. But whenever the Yankees come to town, something major has happened. And I talked about this last week. When the Yankees came to town at the end of the year for a big homestand, the Red Sox fired Dave Dombrowski. A couple of years later, Heim Bloom, same thing, Yankees come to town. I circled June 13th as a date that maybe a major change could happen for the Red Sox. Well, it was the weekend of the 13th. And they traded away their best player, their all-star, their future Hall of Famer, who had 8 years remaining on his deal because another team would take on the contract because they knew they needed that type of hitter, and they knew that it was available if they actually spent the money. And Rafael Devers no longer a member of the Red Sox as they now go on a long West Coast road trip with a bunch of young players that have won 6 of their last 7. I am curious how the Red Sox respond tonight as a team. I'm absolutely curious. Does it fire them up? Does it set them back? What's the manager's mentality? What are we going to hear later from Breslow and Kennedy? Rafael Devers is not here. It's not because the ownership is cheap or any of that. It's because if they found another team that wanted this contract, they were going to get out of it because they wanted to reset. Devers wasn't setting the example for the young players to change positions like they were. And if they found it out, they would do the deal. And that's exactly why Devers has moved on. 617-779-0985. We'll take a quick break. We're reacting to Rafael Devers on the move. And the Red Sox, we will hear from the heads, the people who run the Red Sox. At 8 o'clock tonight, I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on The Sports Hub.
comfortable in your everyday routines? How's that going for you?
No, me siento bastante bien, ya he cogido todos mis ritmos, pienso que ya me he adaptado bastante bien y creo que estoy jugando mi pelota.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel like I adapted very well, and now just playing baseball.
¿Te sientes que en este momento estás en tu momento más maduro como bateador? Estás leyendo muy bien la zona de strike. ¿En qué trabajaste durante la season para eso?
Sí, creo que la experiencia me ha ayudado bastante en eso, creo que me ha durado un poco, aunque uno siempre tiene fallos, pero creo que la experiencia es lo que me ha llevado a mí a ser un bateador más consistente.
All the drama, distractions, all that stuff is behind you and behind the team from earlier?
Y eso pasó.
Yeah, that's fast process.
Wow, back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. There's a lot of layers here, everybody. I'm glad we're here. We're going to talk this thing out all night. What is Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow going to say tonight? This is if I was Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow, and it was GM Joe and President Joe up there, I would stand by the decision. Rafael Devers was a great part of the Boston Red Sox, was a great prospect, helped win a championship here, signed a long-term deal to be in Boston. But when I came in here, I wanted to set a new culture. We now have 3 young prospects that we really want to get behind who have been willing to do whatever it takes to win and do what's best for the team. And I now believe that we have set a culture in that room where we can go forward and continue to develop and win baseball games. Stand behind it. Don't BS the Red Sox fans anymore. There's no loyalty here. There's none. When people go and buy that jersey that you sell and the beer and the tickets and everything. And I'm not that guy anymore, by the way. I'm not a Red Sox fan anymore. I just want to have competitive baseball to talk about during the summer. So I'm from here. I was a Red Sox fan my whole life, but now I don't invest in them because they don't invest. So that's how I live my life, with energy. But if I was Craig Breslow and Kennedy, I would stand by the move. Stand by it. You wanted to set the culture. Don't make it about the money. Set the culture. And don't lie to these people. When Sam Kennedy said, he's out there just fielding ground balls, he's feeling better. He was doing that to insult the organization. That's why he was doing it. You lied to everybody about it. Stop lying to the fan base. They don't want Mookie Betts leaving anymore and going to the West Coast. They've seen it already. We're watching it with Brad Marchand now getting traded. And again, that's a different comparison here. And I probably shouldn't even bring up the Mookie Betts comparison because Mookie Betts' contract was going to be up. And the Red Sox weren't going to meet the demand. The Red Sox met the demand on Rafael Devers. And 2 years in, they said, we don't want to pay this guy anymore. And granted, he didn't want to be a team player. They should have communicated with him. They didn't. That's right. And I see you guys line up on the phone lines. I'll get to you in a second here. Let me just get my takes out. And I guess our opening take now is sponsored, which is brought to you and presented by Super Service Today, Massachusetts' #1 provider for residential and commercial plumbing, heating, cooling, and drain cleaning, day or night, always done right. Visit superservicetoday.com. How did this deal go down? There were multiple reports. I don't even know what's true. Did he ask for a trade? Maybe. They didn't shop him. That's a lie. They started this in spring training? Who's they? This is what we have. This is what I've circumvented in what I believe. Devers was asked to take grounders at both third base and first base this spring. He declined. Instead, he asked for a trade. That request set the wheels in motion for what became a growing divide between the Sox best players and the front office. On the night that John Henry had the meeting in Kansas City, Devers was told reporters wanted to talk to him. He responded that he didn't give a crap. He told us to ask the team, and he just wanted to do his job as a DH. And he did that very well. He did that very well. So they brought in Bregman. This is how I looked at everything. They brought in Bregman. Devers was there working out because he didn't have shoulder surgery. And when Bregman came in, he went home. He then came back, and they wanted to talk to him about potentially being the DH. He wanted to play third base. Then they asked him if he would take grounders at first as well. Then he declined. This is maybe where he asked for a trade. I wanted to bring this up because obviously there's the language barrier for Rafael Devers and who he speaks to. I'll get into what David Ortiz said about this in a little bit here. But I just wanted to bring this up quickly because there is the ESPN Deportes people that said they have at least spoken to him. One is Mike Rodriguez. And he's mentioned in the past that I'll get you the exact quote. There's so many quotes from last night. For example, this one from Alex Spear, who was on the Tom Caron podcast, says he heard from one team, not the Giants, that the Red Sox sought to engage them or at least fell out of interest on the Devers trade. So a lot of the stuff was they didn't shop him, but realistically, none of the other teams wanted to pick up the money. This from Chris Cotillo. Since the original request to move to DH in the presser, there was real discord between Devers and the team. Mass Live was all over it. He was telling confidants during spring trading he considered asking for a trade. So that's been going on for a while. It just was never reported. A source of knowledge between Devers' relationship and the Red Sox, an unsalvageable situation for both parties. Devers was frustrated with mixed messaging from different voices in the organization. He felt like the scapegoat. I know Buster Posey said some things as well. This is from Julian McWilliams, outside source. The spring training, the Red Sox asked Devers to take grounders at first and third after the Bregman signing. He refused to ask. And inside the following breakdown and communication, the Red Sox, this is why it led to this moment. So he was asked to take grounders. He declined. And that didn't fly with the organization. It didn't fly with them. And I did just wanted to, I'm trying to find the quote. I'm not sure why I'm losing this at the moment, but I'll get to it in a second here. But Robert Murray posted it right away. I couldn't believe it. And again, I thought it was a Breslow move. You can't make this move without the owner signing off on it. But a huge move. And I want it to be from Breslow. It's just hard for me with all the money that's involved. How you can't think. But just another thing regarding the Red Sox. They can't get out of their own way. And I hope tonight, don't lie to the fans. Tell them this is what you believe you have to do to set the culture, because it's the only truth of the matter here. You got out of the money. You want to set a new culture, and you're going to use that money to make the team better? That's what I want to hear. Let's talk to Tommy. He's in Clinton. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
You there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're on the air. Yeah.
By the way, Joe, I love your show. I've been listening to you guys forever. This is the first time I've ever called in. So there's a suspicious thing that's going on right now. You said the 2013th you had in your mind?
June 13th is what I had in mind.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, June 13th. Well, Liverpool just made their biggest acquisition, which is the average annual value of the contract of Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
And the Pittsburgh Penguins have 6. 3 of them are unrestricted free agents, and 3 are restricted free agents that they have to figure out how to pay for. And on top of that, the sports group's racing team is in the gutter right now. And I don't want to get all Pablo Torre on you right now, but I kind of want you to email him for me. There's something suspect going on.
Yeah, it's smelly.
I don't think that it's about I think you're making a great case for how this could be about the Red Sox. I don't think it's about the Red Sox anymore. And you can't have a Dombrowski running the team only for the Red Sox anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. Do you see this is the messaging that they're having right now, Tommy? You think it's the ownership is spending money elsewhere and just signed this big player and wants to sell the Penguins, and he wants to get out of $300 million because of it. And he found an opportunity.
Quite literally, the dollars go. If you took the dollars that they need to sign this Liverpool player and what it's going to take to at least re-sign 2 of those Penguins players, it's all going to the same mass of money, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think this has been in the works for a while, I guess is where I'm going with it. But Liz, I have to say this. Skaz, I know you know you're the soccer guy, okay? I know it's easy to say that they gave this player, Tim whatever, Warts? I don't know his name. Did I miss it completely?
Yeah, Warts.
Oh, Warts.
Close enough.
Okay, all right. I understand they gave this guy $285 million. I get it. It's the exact money that they're now freeing up for Rafael Devers. I don't think Liverpool is struggling for money. I don't think John Henry's hurting for money. So if you're going to make it about money, you're entitled to feel that way because those are your feelings. I just don't think the Red Sox are struggling financially. Sorry, Fenway Sports Group is struggling financially at all. So personally, I don't think it's a money move. I think they're resetting it, trying to spend the money elsewhere on guys that can be part of a culture. I just hope they sell us that, Skaz, tonight. Or they just say, he didn't want to be here. We wanted to get out of the contract. We're moving on. One or the other. Don't lie to us. I just think they have money, Skaz. Do you? And what were your original thoughts when you heard all about this?
Yeah, it's not often you get stunned, Joe. I would say this one was a borderline stunner, whatever you want to call it. There's a million different ways to look at this one. I'm against it, obviously. I'm against the return. I don't think you can defend the trade from a baseball aspect other than the money. They wanted a team to take on all the money. I think that's a horrible position to be in. We've already started to get the smear campaign on the way out. He felt like he was being, upstaged by Campbell asking to play first base.
We didn't even get into that yet.
He told reporters he didn't want to, talk, didn't want to do media availabilities. It's not his job. He just wants to play baseball. Yeah, he was upset about, the whole Bregman thing in the offseason, which, we said yesterday when we found out, smear campaign's going to happen. I think this is a bad look for everybody. And that's, kind of rare in these situations. But I think everyone involved looks bad. I think Rafael Devers looks bad. I think Alex Cora looks bad. I think Craig Breslow looks bad. Sam Kennedy, John Henry. I think they all look bad. They all mishandled this situation. It is a disaster what happened. We're going to go on all night about it, but how do you get excited as a Red Sox fan? Because that's kind of where you put yourself as a fan in these situations. That's who they're supposed to sell the team to, market the team to. That is your base. That is who you're trying to keep coming back year after year. How do you get excited about Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, Garrett Crochet? So what? When he's, in 5 years, when he's looking for a new deal to reset the market, you're going to trade him too? Roman Anthony's going to get a deal now, and then when he's going to reset the market, he's going to get traded to it. They sold us prospects. The prospects are coming. They're going to save the franchise. We're going to have a good mix of veteran talent, and the prospects are going to come up, and that's going to be the fusion of the team that's going to carry them. Well, now you just sold the most talented player on your roster, the best player on your roster, and the kids are not ready. They're good. They're, coming up, but it's just everything they've done. They talk out of both sides of their mouth. It's a disaster. How could you feel good about the Boston Red Sox?
They don't have a leader at all. anywhere, not even at the top. And listen, Red Sox ownership's won how many championships? 4? And have great businesses and probably the richest people in town. Maybe. Right? I mean, just because you're the richest doesn't mean you're the best or smartest, right? At the same time, though, I think this move, honestly, we're going to hear a lot. I know that people are saying he asked for a trade. I don't think he demanded a trade, man. There's some things I want to get into on the other side. And David Ortiz mentioned something as well. Don't believe everything you read in this one. More is coming out. There's Devers' side and there's the Red Sox side, people. There's people that are there every day as well. We're going to hear from some of them later on in the show tonight, but the Red Sox wanted to move on from Rafael Devers. Like, that's the story. I think Devers would have stayed here, but they wanted to. I think they had to change the culture. I really do. And listen, guys, I wanted Breslow, Cora, and Devers gone to change the culture.
We're 1/3 of the way there, Joe.
So I and I did say June 13th. I said it. It always happens for a Yankee series. Always. I just didn't think it was going to happen after a sweep and he had the go-ahead home run.
You said they wanted rid of Rafael Devers. Do you think they wanted rid of his contract. Or Rafael Devers more?
Contract.
The contract.
The contract.
And I think that's the scarier thing.
But
he didn't do himself any favors.
If he did what they asked, he has the right about the way they communicate. He was a baby and they didn't communicate it.
And Craig Breslow, by all accounts, Craig Breslow, very sensitive.
All I have to say, though, is when it first happened, I thought this was a power move from Bres. It reminded me of a Theo move.
Yeah, but Theo would have been smart about it, not spiteful, and gotten an actually, good return instead of, pennies on the dollar.
Like I said, the Nomar, the reason why I can't take this is like the Betts trade. Is guys, how many guys get traded 2 years into an 8-year contract, right?
Not often.
That's why they got out of it. In a way, right? Does anybody want to look at this positively? Listen to this spin right now that I'm about to do. Because I don't know if we're going to get it at 8 o'clock. Are they going to spend that $285 million now?
Yeah, Joe, they're going to go after Paul Skeens. This is the plan. They're going to get Paul Skeens.
No, but like they have, are they going to use the $285 million? Like if they want to reset, they can reset. You know what else, too? The reason why they haven't moved on from Cora is because why, Skaz?
Money.
So you can't give me the excuse anymore because you just did it with Devers. You just freed up $285 million.
It's an expensive manager.
But do you know what I'm saying? Just take it off the tab. I hoped this was a Breslow move. Like, imagine if Breslow's like, he disrespected me. I'm changing the culture here. We need to make moves. Like, if he was like that, I'd be like, I'm behind this guy. I just still think it's the man with the cigar above. How come we didn't get a photo last night from Linda? I was waiting on that. All right, we'll get to the headline here. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
All right, Red Sox. We'll hear from Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow 8 p.m. tonight regarding the trade of Rafael Devers to the Giants in a shocker after they swept the Yankees over the
Joe Murray pre-party. It's Felger and Maz afternoons right now. Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
So, Passan, the why in this one. Why did the Red Sox make this move?
Well, unlike the NBA, Matt, Major League Baseball does not have a salary cap. So there is no excuse for the Boston Red Sox, a large market, high revenue team, not to go out and spend money. And yet when they looked at Rafael Devers' contract, $250+ million remaining on the final 8 seasons, they believe that it would be better spent elsewhere. Devers is going to be a DH or first baseman for the remainder of his career at this point. And generally speaking, designated hitters and first basemen don't get paid that. Now, the question is, are the Red Sox actually going to go out and spend it? Because this move reminds me a lot of when Giancarlo Stanton was traded to the New York Yankees. The return wasn't all that great. It was also the Miami Marlins that were sending him there, not the Boston Red Sox, a team to which they do not want to be compared, and yet the moves they have made make it such that we're doing so right here on SportsCenter.
Walker Buehler, you guys know him, right? Pitches for the Red Sox. Said from the outside perspective, it would be logical for Craig Breslow to address the team. But he said they are not entitled to an explanation. No reason for them to explain, he said. Veteran pitcher going at the GM, huh? Interesting. How about this one? June Lee wrote a nice little article today. Goes on to say that his reporting reflects a perception around the baseball world that Red Sox CBO Craig Breslow, who played 12 years in the big leagues, is robotic. Multiple people inside the game told me over the last 24 hours that Breslow lacks feel. Isn't that what Rafael Devers said publicly? Also, one of the clearest signals came during an internal Zoom meeting earlier this season. Toward the end, is it Carl Moshe? Yeah. A Red Sox scouting supervisor and team employee since 2017 thought the call had ended. It hadn't. As the meeting wrapped, his voice cut through a quiet moment. Thank you, Brez, you bleeping stiff. According to 2 team sources. The words landed like a grenade, and Breslow fired Mochi. So that goes back to some of your soft comments, Gaz, regarding Craig Breslow. We already know about the Breslow and Devers fallout. Here's another one. Another error came during Roman Anthony's debut. When he misplayed a ball in right field, the next day Anthony sent out to run outfield drills in front of the media. Multiple people in the organization noted that under previous regimes, the kind of instruction would have taken place behind closed doors. This felt like a message from the coaching staff to the front office. One team source described the message as deliberate. This is what we still have to teach at the big league level. I said that last week. So, Devers might have been right. I know he's wrong. Skaz, he's wrong. Core's wrong. I get it. I've always been Team Devers on this one. I don't like the not being a teammate thing, and that's why they shipped him out, and because somebody took his contract. I see you guys lined up on the phone lines. We do have to take a break. We got the Zoom meeting coming up with Breslow and Kennedy. I can only imagine what they say. I'll try to get to your calls as fast as we can. A lot to break down tonight. We're here until 11 o'clock. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5.
All right, back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. Let me just set the expectation here. This is communication, everybody, something that Rafael Devers really wanted that the Red Sox couldn't deliver. Myself, Skaz, Luke, our intern, we have all communicated. We're going to go early to the headline. And then once Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow enter the Zoom, we're going to pot it up live here. We're going to listen to the entire thing. We might have a few minutes to react to it. We're going to talk to Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald. We'll have him on. Maybe we'll take a breather and do some in or out. We'll get back to Devers. We'll take a little bit of a breather, and we'll talk to Smitty, who's in Seattle tonight, by the way. Smitty on baseball. Christopher Smith, I should say. And then we'll do a little musings. And then we'll get back to Devers and some NBA Finals stuff. So feel free to hang out with us on YouTube tonight. The numbers are large right now. So thank you all for joining us. You just go to youtube.com. Go to 98.5 The Sports Hub and then just subscribe. It's real easy to do. So we're waiting. I have Nesson on right now, and it's Alex Spear and Breslow speaking. So oh no, that's Lenny DiNardo. Sorry. Can't tell the difference between the two sometimes anyways, you know. A couple of things on Devers I wanted to bring up. Since the start of 2019, he is 8th in home runs. So of all of Major League Baseball, and was it 19, 20, 20, that's 5 years, guess? We just say 5. He's got the 8th most home runs, the 2nd most doubles, 235. He's got the 4th most hits. So the last 5 years, he's top 5 in hits. That's 965 for those that care. And hard hit balls, do you care? He's 2nd. Now, defensively, since 2019, he does rank 72nd of 75 qualifiers. That's not great. 103 errors was the most in Major League Baseball. So I know that you can explain. Oh, we got Cora? All right, well, you know what? Let's do the headline. Let's do the headline now. I was just giving you the numbers. We'll do numbers all night. Why don't we do the headline? No commercials here. Just the headline. We'll come back, and then we'll go straight until we hand things over to Breslow and Kennedy up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
From the Tell Your Tiger Studios, WBZ-FM and HD1. It's not just the games. It's Toucher and Hardy, Zolak and Bertrand, Felger and Maz, Joe Murray. For Boston sports fans, it's 98.5 The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
All right, we're waiting to hear from Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow at 8 p.m. tonight regarding the trade of Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. Of course, they're off a sweep of the Yankees and the Sox. They begin a West Coast road trip in Seattle tonight. Lucas Giolito will get the start. In NBA Finals, Game 5 in Oklahoma City. Series tied at 2 between the Thunder and the Pacers. Headlines, they are brought to you by Kesha's Law. At Kesha's Law, they specialize in helping those who have been injured not only from a one-time incident, but from a lifetime of hard work and labor. Does that sound like you? Visit keshaslaw.com. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update is in 30 minutes.
To us, Boston pride runs deep. I'm a Bostonian! This is Boston's home for sports.
Bow, bow, bow!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Another Red Sox veteran checking in, or a veteran on the Red Sox. Garrett Crochet on the Devers trade. I think that the front office doesn't owe us an explanation. What they're doing is what's best for the team, and we have to respect that. I think as players, it's on us to continue to do our job. Wow. I'm wondering if there's people in that dugout that didn't want Devers on the team. I'm curious now. I'll get more from the veterans. Crochet went on to say, obviously he's a big presence in the lineup and we'll miss that, but can't really sit here and harp on that. I don't think that anybody's in this room isn't that good, and I don't think that's what the fan base wants to hear us say either. I didn't get a chance to mention this yet, but Rafael, and I know Skaz did, Rafael Devers was upset, reportedly, when Christian Campbell volunteered to play first base, interpreting that it was a slight to his own stature. There's a lot of that's a toxic clubhouse, everybody. Maybe step one was moving on from Devers, but now it's the disrespect and calling him a stiff. People calling Craig Breslow a stiff and then getting fired. All right, we'll take some calls, but once the press conference starts, we might have to get rid of you. Okay, it's about to start, so we're waiting. Okay, well, you know what? While we're waiting, Justin and Lynn. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Joe, I just want to let you know that you can catch my take on LinkedIn.org because I reacted to this morning. So tell Gas to pull the clip.
All right, I got you, buddy. Thank you, man. Lynn TV, baby.
Pull the clip.
Yeah,
settle down, Justin. Love you, but
yeah, you go to lynn.tv and then you find the sports wrap. That's a show. Brian's in Waltham. Brian.
Hey, Joe, to be honest with you, you know what? The ownership is too focused on building buildings around Fenway Park. They're spending $200 million behind the green lots. You know, it's the ownership.
Hey, Brian, they have the money.
Yeah.
They have the money.
They do. They really do. They're just not pumping it into the team.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
But can you at least look at it as they made a mistake and that they – like, I'm not going to defend ownership, but can you see why they made the move?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it should be upsetting that one of their best players got traded. You have every right to feel that way. I just don't think they're saving the money because they're building. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know where he was going with that. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that building that's behind Fenway there. It's supposed to be a monster building. Behind the monster. Steve's in town, Steve.
Hey, Joe, I just want to talk about not money. I just want to talk about, David Ortiz came up behind the moron Giambi and, took no money. And he learned how to hit and played first base. And every time he was in the World Series, especially Game 3 with Pedro Martinez against St. Louis, that bullet in that first inning across the mound that picked off Scott Rowland. Do you think he did that by just doing it once a year? Absolutely not. And Manny Ramirez went from right to left when he came from the Indians. And those were leaders. Those were people we tuned in. And Devers, serious? You can't go play first base?
Yeah, but the messaging was bad. It's a toxic.
But right though. But remember, leaders weren't they? See. Bill Miller was the batting champion, batting ninth.
I know, but Steve, it's hard to compare those teams because there were no young players on that 04 team. Bronson Arroyo was the youngest player.
But ownership wanted to spend money on good players and keep them.
Yes, they did.
That was the point. Manny Ramirez is remember that contract blew people away.
I know, but he was on irrevocable waivers. They put him on irrevocable waivers. Any team could have picked him up, and no one did. They just did the same. They just got a better deal for Devers and did the same thing.
Joe, but hey, Joe, he got 7.5 years as a Red Sox, and then went to the Dodgers. Jesus, that's almost the whole contract. Come on. Would you rather have Manny Ramirez going 85-90% of his contract, hitting like he did, arguably the greatest?
All right, sorry, I had to let you go. Let's go to the Zoom meeting.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being together tonight. Brez and I wanted to make sure that we were able to
recording in progress.
Be together, even if by Zoom. So thanks for your patience and allowing us to sync up our schedules. We obviously are here tonight to talk about our trade with the San Francisco Giants. But at the outset, I just wanted to express on behalf of the whole organization our thanks to Rafi Devers for all he's done for our franchise, better part of the last decade, a homegrown guy who came up through the system and was a member of our 2018 championship team. And we're forever grateful for his contributions across the organization. I want to let everyone know that obviously this decision was not taken lightly, nor did it come suddenly. We obviously, over the last week or so, reached an inflection point, and as difficult as that inflection point was, as the hallmark of this organization, I guess, over the last 24 years, we acted boldly and decisively, and we came to the very difficult decision to make a deal that we think serves the best interests of the Boston Red Sox in the short term and in the long term. I'm really grateful on behalf of John and Tom and Mike Gordon and everyone in the Red Sox ownership group to Craig Breslow and his staff, who worked tirelessly on this deal. And we're pleased to be here tonight to talk about it and answer any questions you have. So with that, we'll open it up for any questions for me or for Craig, who I see is on the screen with me. So we'll open it up for questions. Abby, over to you.
And with that, we can begin with questions.
Okay. Craig, I just wanted to ask, you said kind of repeatedly this year that everything you've been doing in terms of moves and everything was with this year in mind. Just wanted you to explain like how this move kind of helps the team for this season.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I understand why the initial reaction would be that it'd be tough to sit here and say when you move a player of Rafi's caliber, when you take that bat out of the lineup, how could I sit here and say that we're a better team? And I acknowledge that. Kind of on paper, we're not going to have the same lineup that that we did, but this isn't about the game that is played on paper. This is about the game that's played on the field, and ultimately about winning the most games that we can. And in order to do that, trying to put together the most functional and complete team that we can. And so, I think when you consider the flexibility, the ability to give some of the young players some run, the opportunity to maybe repackage some of the resources and fill some voids in the roster as early as, approaching this year's deadline, and being really intentional about the environment that we create for these young players to thrive in, then I do think that there is a real chance that at the end of the season, we're looking back and we've won more games than we otherwise would have.
Greg, the Giants ended up assuming all of Rafi's remaining contractual obligations. How big a factor was that in pairing with them? And was there a mandate to unload as much, if not all, of his contract to facilitate a trade?
Yeah, no, we're working backwards. There was no mandate. The mandate is to assemble the best team that we possibly could. And in order to do that, we needed to create a more functional roster, and give certain guys more playing time, be able to rotate through the DH spot, potentially match up there. And also, this is a roster that certainly has some needs, and we can talk about starting pitching and bullpen help, and we think that we addressed some of those in the return that we had in this deal. But additionally, I do think that it gives us some resources, like I said, as we head toward the deadline.
Sam, you mentioned that you all reached an inflection point, and I'm curious, from your perspective, why didn't this situation with Rafi work out in just the second year of a $300 million deal?
Yeah, thanks for that, Julian. In the end, I think it's pretty clear that we couldn't find alignment with Rafi. Is the truth. We all worked at it over the last several months, going back to the off season, starting with Alex Cora and Craig and the staff, and then up to me and all the way up to John Henry. We worked at it. We had a different vision for him going forward than he had, and we couldn't get there. We couldn't find alignment, and we reached that inflection point and made the decision to make a big move.
And Craig, just this for you. Is there anything, looking back on the situation, dating back to spring training, obviously you guys got Bregman, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yeah, I think about that question all of the time. This is not the outcome that we had expected, and it's forced me to reflect on the interactions that I've had, not just with Rafi, but with other players, and opportunities to communicate differently. Anytime you get to this point where, as Sam said, you reach an inflection point and you fail to reach alignment. I need to own things that I could have done better. And I don't know if this outcome would have played out any differently. I think that there's a decent chance that it wouldn't have, but I absolutely need to have the humility to think back on the interactions and figure out what I could have done better.
Question for Sam and maybe Craig, kind of following what Julian was asking. What if you could tell the fans a little bit, perhaps, of was it strictly the on the field, the position moves or what have you? Was it off the field? Was it leadership? What were some of the things that you were looking for from Rafi that prevented it, and were you worried that it would affect the team long term? Well,
First of all, I want to express an understanding of empathy for anytime you see a star player leave the organization, especially the Red Sox organization, it's hard on fans. And Brez and I are in the privileged position to be in a spot where from time to time we have to make really hard calls and hard decisions, as is John Henry and Tom Werner and Mike Gordon and our ownership group. That goes with the territory. These decisions are on us. And so we understand that many fans may be feeling disappointment. And so we understand that. In terms of what was missing, it just was that alignment in terms of what we felt we needed that would be in the absolute best interest of the ball club. That's a non-starter for us. We have to have that. We couldn't get there, and as Brez said, maybe we need to look back at things we could have handled better. But it's definitely a two-way street, and we didn't get to the alignment that we needed in the best interest of the Boston Red Sox. So we made the decision that we made, and we're also excited about what's coming back. Brez and his team worked tirelessly to upgrade our pitching in this deal, and so appreciative of that. But that was Rochi. That was the main thing.
Sam, this is Dan Shaughnessy for Sam and Craig. Would you guys characterize this as a baseball trade?
Well, I'll start, Dan. Appreciate the question. It was a baseball trade because we did what we felt was in the best interest of the Red Sox on and off the field to win championships and to continue to ferociously and relentlessly pursue a culture that we want everyone in that clubhouse to embody, and doing everything in their power, night in and night out, to help the team. So yeah, it was a baseball trade without question. Brez, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, would just echo that, and obviously the quality of the return, we're going to see how that plays out over the next several years. But we're absolutely excited about bringing Jordan Hicks, a dominant late inning reliever, into our mix, and Kyle Harrison, someone we think can pitch in the front half of a rotation. We've identified some development opportunities for him that we're going to work through, and then in James Tibbs, a first rounder from last year, an athletic profile, someone that makes great swing decision, and someone we think can excel in our PD infrastructure, and Jose Bayo, an exciting young arm. But again, we've talked a lot about for some reason this team, being an example where the whole was not greater than the sum of the parts, and being great teammates and sacrificing and stepping up for each other and embodying this shared vision. We believe that those are principles that we need to be faithful to. And so, at the end of the season, I think we could look back and say we've won more games than we otherwise would have because of the way that this roster is now able to come together.
And one follow-up, if you would, was having the other team assume the entire balance of Rafael Devers' contract. Was that a condition of making a deal with the team?
No, I can answer that. No. We were trying to improve the long and short term outlooks. We were trying to provide some additional roster flexibility, and we were trying to make the best baseball trade that we could.
Sam, on Nesson last week, you said that you believed when Devers, or when you guys asked Devers to pick up a glove, he'd be ready. Did you believe that when you said it, or was that just trying to kind of make things publicly?
Yeah, I think it's probably my own fault for being eternally optimistic. And so I believed it when I said it. I was sitting in the Nesson studio watching imagery of Rafi take ground balls. So yeah, I thought we'd ultimately get to a place of complete alignment, but we couldn't. So we did what we did.
Hey, Sam, a couple questions, Sam, for you and Brez. This is Steve Burton here.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, guys. Did Rafi actually request a trade? And when he found out the news, and when the team found out the news, how'd they handle that? How'd they take that?
Yeah, I can jump in. There were times during the course of conversations with Rafi's camp, where they had indicated that perhaps a fresh start would be best for both sides. We were committed to trying to work through this. And like Sam said, ultimately we weren't able to achieve that alignment. But this does represent that chance to reset on our end and for Rafi to get a fresh start, with a historic franchise. So that's kind of how that came about.
Was he shocked when he heard it?
There was definite surprise. I think the reaction from the group was surprise. But at the same time, as they started to talk amongst themselves and, even some of the quotes that have come out today, this is a group that believes in themselves, and a group that we have a ton of belief in. And I think that they are very businesslike in terms of recognizing we've got a game tonight to win in Seattle, and we've got 26 guys that are committed to doing that. I think while we're at it, important to point out that, this is in no way signifying a waving of the white flag on 2025. We are as committed as we were 6 months ago to putting a winning team on the field, to competing for the division and making a deep postseason run.
Question for you. You said it's purely a baseball trade and money wasn't the driving factor here. Did things become so untenable that you felt you had to make this move?
I don't think that would be a fair characterization. I think, where we got to was believing that making this move made more sense for us than not making it. And if we didn't get the return that we, that we were holding out for, then we wouldn't have made it. But, the only commitment that I have ever made to any player, any staff member, anyone in the office or ownership, was to do what I believed was best for the Boston Red Sox. And this was that.
But to follow that up, this is a generational talent in Rafi Devers. Right now, you guys receive 3 guys that are at the minor league level and 1 guy that's on IL. So are you understanding why fans aren't seeing that and taking it maybe as face value, and that things must have been pretty bad for this to go through is what I'm saying.
I understand the reaction from fans, the criticism that we are taking the surprise. I do understand all of that. And I also will stand here and say that we would not have made this trade if we didn't think it was best for the organization and the vision and the beliefs and culture that we're trying to create. We have a number of young players who are in the big leagues, and we're really excited about them. And we're very, very deliberate and intentional about the environment that we want to create. And ultimately, we believe that we're positioning the organization to win a bunch of games, both in 2025 and beyond.
So along those lines, Craig, with the timing, a multi-parter on the timing, was the call-up of Anthony to join Meyer and Campbell kind of a catalyst in the timing here? And if you can kind of talk about how the process came together, why it ended up, like whether or not you were approaching this as a broader-based exploration of the market, or if you identified the Giants as a potential partner and just negotiated exclusively with them, how did you proceed from a timetable standpoint?
Sure. So I think Sam had said it best when he said, this was not a decision that was made lightly or that was made suddenly. You don't trade Rafi Devers simply because you have a player coming off the IL and you need to make a move, right? But we are mindful of balancing, what we believe to be this, kind of really exciting young core with, the opportunity to play in the big leagues. And there were a number of paths that we felt like we could explore in order to get a more kind of cohesive and more functional roster. This was one of them, and it was ultimately the path that we went down. Now, whether or not we negotiated with one team exclusively, I have seen some commentary that we didn't shop this deal, whatever that means, and I don't know that it makes a ton of sense to get into the kind of mechanics or strategy, but I do believe we had a thorough process and we had a good idea of what the market would or could look like, and this was a deal that we felt like made sense, and the reason that we executed it, as difficult as it was.
One quick follow-up on that. Within that, though, a lot of people think that the trade deadline or the offseason represent times when it's easier for a number of teams to bid against each other. Why was it the case that there were unique circumstances to right now that led to the deal being made now, and you felt like you really did need to kind of push the gas pedal, or did you just feel like this was in your market survey? Did you just think that this was going to be the best deal you were going to get?
Yeah, I think that this, I think we rightfully set a really high bar in order to execute a trade of this magnitude. And we did have conversations with other clubs. We got a sense for, the way that they might behave, whether it was today or a few weeks from now, and felt like this, it's not that this was the best deal that we could get, because the best deal that we could get may not necessarily be good enough to trade a player like Rafi Devers. But when you consider all of the factors here, this is the one that made sense. This is the path that we went down. And so we ended up where we did.
Could you guys, for Sam and Craig, what happened in the meeting between John and Rafi in Kansas City, and what was the resolution out of that?
Sorry, you had asked what was the meeting between John and Rafi?
Yeah, I think that's what he asked. I can take a stab, Brez. Sure. That meeting was full of candor, openness, honesty between both John and Rafi, and Brez has had many discussions with Rafi. I've had discussions with Rafi. AC's had discussions with Rafi that have been candid, honest, direct, and we just weren't able to get there on a shared vision for his role going forward. And it's okay. This sometimes happens in a long-term relationship. We hopefully did the absolute best thing in the best interest of the Boston Red Sox. And in this case, in Rafi Devers. And like I said, we really wish him well, but we've had lots of open discussions with our clubhouse every year since we've been here in a quarter of a century, perhaps this year more than even ever before, because there's such a commitment and a desire to get the most out of the 2025 Boston Red Sox.
Sam, you mentioned Rafi's role going forward and what the organization saw it as being. Could you specify what it is, whether it's a defensive position, whether it was leadership, whether it was interacting with media, whether it was sponsorship commitments to the team? What exactly did you see him doing that he was either unwilling or unable to fulfill?
No, I think it's best to just leave it at we just didn't have the same shared vision for what was in the best interest of the team on the field. And this was a baseball deal, as Brett's articulated.
Hi, Sam. Hi, Craig. Matt McCarthy with the Sports Hub. Sam, as you just said that this was a baseball decision, and maybe this is a better question for you, given you've been here a little bit longer than Craig, but over the course of the last 5 years, you've traded an undeniable first ballot Hall of Famer in Mookie Betts, and now a player who might be building his own Hall of Fame resume in Rafael Devers. So I guess simply put, why does the organization keep doing this? And what are the organizational factors that have created an environment where the Boston Red Sox are, I guess, repeatedly trading away Hall of Fame talent? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Understand the question. Each and every player decision is its own individual decision. And as I said at the outset, it's really, really hard when we either can't line up with our own players who become free agents or we don't line up on extensions. Obviously, very different circumstances. But I'll put our record up against anybody else's in Major League Baseball over the last 24 years. We're incredibly proud of what we've built here. We've got more trophies and banners to show for it than any other organization in Major League Baseball. And we are so proud of that. And this clubhouse believes in itself, and we believe in them. And I think our players are going to be pretty vocal over the next couple months about the belief in themselves and what they've been put together to do. Craig Breslow, it's easy for me to talk about him. He knows what it means to be a World Series champion in Boston. His tenure here, albeit short, has been defined by bold, decisive, aggressive moves. Probably feels a lot more than 2 years in the role. But a lot of the moves that he's made have been bold and decisive and rooted in what is in the best interest of the baseball team. We're never going to shy away from big, bold decisions. We'll get a lot wrong, and hopefully we get more right than wrong. And we'll keep adding trophies to that case and raising banners here in Fenway.
And just Craig, a quick follow-up to that, Sam, if you wouldn't mind. I think a lot of fans would say Betts, Devers, Lester, Chris Sale, over the course of the last 10 years, are you concerned that that's becoming a part of the organization's culture? Thank you.
It's hard when you part ways or you can't find ways to extend star players. It's the hardest part of the job. And so we appreciate the incredible fan support that we get year in and year out. And as Brez said, at the end of the day, this organization is about the overall team, not one individual player. And if we're going to be hoisting a trophy later this year in October, it's going to be because the guys in that clubhouse stepped up, not one individual guy.
Greg, when it comes to the short term, what is your thought process in regard to the new payroll flexibility that you have? Are you set here? Are you thinking about bringing in additional players to address needs? What's the thought process now that there is more money available?
Yeah, so I think first with the roster in the short term, right, giving some more flexibility at the DH spot does allow us to rotate through the three left-handed hitting outfielders as soon as Willie's back, plus Sedon, able to stay in center field where we've seen him play elite defense. Likely opens up some additional at bats for Moss as well as soon as he's healthy. And then we we look at opportunities to improve our team every single day. And if we were having this conversation a week ago, we would be talking about starting pitching. And, they've been really good the last 2 turns through, and we need to make sure that has some staying power. But starting pitching could be an opportunity for us to continue to upgrade. Also, we've had our share of both bullpen injuries and inconsistency in trying to get the ball to Aroldis, who's been so good late in games. So that's another potential pathway. And then we need to start thinking about what does the long-term solution look like at say first base. And, Tristan's rehab is going well. But it's going to be a long road there. So yeah, I think we're absolutely going to look at the best use of those resources and could put them to use as early as the 2025 trade deadline.
And when it comes to reaching the inflection point that you described earlier, Sam, do you view this as being your responsibility as a front office? Is it more Devers' responsibility that you're unable to find that common ground to allow for him to pick up a glove and contribute in the way that you guys desired? Who do you feel has the most responsibility in this?
Well, it's a shared responsibility. I think you never want to be in this situation where you can't find alignment with someone you've got a long-term commitment to. But unfortunately we did. And look, I'm the CEO of this organization. So I have a huge amount of accountability, responsibility for everything that happens at Fenway Park. I know Brez feels a huge amount of accountability. But listen, there's blame to go around on all sides when you can't get to alignment on what's best for the team. We were the ones that made the decision to make the move. Obviously, that's our right as the organization, and we did that, and we'll be held accountable. And we're very confident in this group's ability to go forward and to be incredibly competitive. We've been disappointed. Let's be clear about that. We're not pleased with where we are. We all had much higher expectations for this group, but we have seen incredible life and energy the last week or so. We're excited about getting some guys back from injury. And we're really excited about the injection of youth and the team first attitude of that youth that's coming into the organization and the culture that's being built in this clubhouse.
You guys talk about the inflection point here.
If I can just jump in, just to follow up.
Sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, just to follow up on Sam's point there, just because I do think I also shoulder significant responsibility here, and failing to reach that alignment, failing to find common ground, and I rethink each step along the way and question whether or not the approach that we had was the right one. It may not have changed the outcome, but I think not to go back and kind of be self-reflective and self-critical would be a missed opportunity to improve this the next time we're in a similar situation.
You guys have talked about sort of the inflection point you've reached and the culture you want to have. And just relative to the timing of this deal, I mean, the team had won 5 in a row, 7 of 8. So what was the impact that you were seeing of Rafael's behavior on the team? Because at this particular juncture, it didn't seem to be affecting the team's performance on the field, which was as good as it had been all season. And so was this more something that was bothersome to the front office and ownership than it was actually impacting the team at this particular point?
Yeah, I can jump in there. The timing was absolutely not great. And we don't always have the choice about when these things kind of reach the point of execution outside of we absolutely could have, walked away or said, we're not going to make this trade, but we do ultimately believe that it was best for the organization. And I don't think it's fair to say that, our performance was solely because of Rafi any more than to say, a number of these games that we've won over the first, couple months, have been because of the offensive contributions that he's made. But I do think, as we think about the identity and the culture and the environment that is created by great teams, there was something amiss here, and it was something that we needed to act decisively to course correct.
And Craig, if I could just follow up with you on that, I mean, just so we just sort of have it on the record here. I mean, was this just about first base? Had you asked him after Alex's injury about moving to third? I believe it was a few weeks ago in Atlanta. You were quoted as saying you guys hadn't asked him about third. So did you ask him about moving to third after Alex went down? Was that a consideration? And did he refuse that as well?
Yeah, so I did not have the conversation with him about third base. Felt like there were better paths to exploring that. But ultimately, as Sam has pointed out, this kind of lack of alignment, I don't think that there's an individual or a single event that we would point to. I think it's more just the totality, the culmination of a bunch of these things where, we felt like a fresh start for both sides was probably the right path forward.
Thank you.
There's a video going around.
Can you guys?
There's a video going around of Rafael Devers showing up to the stadium in a cab. Just curious if that was just a logistical thing, or if there was something to that.
That was just logistics to the timing, and obviously him needing to make sure that he got all of his stuff.
Sam, Craig, can you guys explain what you want your identity, culture, and environment to be that it wasn't with Rafael Devers?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about my experiences on championship caliber teams, and the unfortunately I keep going back to this, but what it keeps coming to is this idea that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. That each individual is contributing and finding a way to help a team win, whether that is in the batter's box, on the pitcher's mound, on the bases, on defense, in the clubhouse, on the bench. It's the willingness to step up and sacrifice at times of need, and essentially kind of do whatever is necessary to help the team win. And I think that's the identity, this relentless pursuit of winning that we're looking for. It's the identity that the World Series championship teams had in the past.
Which of those was he not fulfilling?
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense at this point to kind of be overly pointed or critical. I think we failed to reach that alignment. It was a really strong fit here for a really long time, and then became evident that it had started to diverge. And so, I think best to identify it, own it, and act decisively to fix it.
Sam, do you think in retrospect, the decision to sign Rafael, the one guy you signed to the long-term deal when others, obviously you didn't with Mookie or even Xander, does it feel like a mistake now? Is this admitting a mistake of the past?
Look, we thought we had alignment back when we made the contract a couple years ago when we did the deal. And ultimately we did not. So we were responsible for that. Like Brez said, we own it. We had certain expectations that went with that contract. And when we came to the conclusion that we did not have a full alignment, we moved on. So it's a totally fair question, and one we'll think a lot about. But not too much. We need to look forward and move on. And really excited about the guys coming back and where we're headed in 2025.
Question for Sam or Craig or both. You guys, Devers seemed pretty blindsided during spring training when you guys initially talked to him about moving off of third base. Do you think that if there had been more kind of conversations about that during the offseason before you guys signed Bregman, that it may have been an easier transition, smoother sailing, that it might not have gotten to this point? Because there was a lot of Rafi is our third baseman from various people in the organization all the way up until the Bregman signing, and he seemed pretty taken aback.
Yeah. Brez, you want to answer?
Sure. That's one of the questions that I ask myself every day. And there is no blueprint for how to navigate this. It does seem easy at this point, given where we are today, to say that we mishandled that. And I think that would be a totally fair criticism. I also, to be totally candid in my head, kind of play out this, okay, so we have this conversation with Rafi, and he is resolute and adamant that third base is his position. And now we have a different type of problem on our hands, and so we try to operate with certainty and clarity, and sometimes baseball is so unpredictable that it's really difficult to do that until the very end. But I think to answer your question, I think about that all of the time, and if in a similar situation next time, my hope is that we are able to manage that in a way that it never reaches this point.
Could you guys? I would only add to that we did not know, obviously, until late night, February 8th, I think it was, that Alex Bregman was coming to Boston. And look, we have a responsibility, John, Tom, Mike, me, we have a responsibility to do everything we can to improve the club. And we felt we were doing that by bringing Alex Bregman to the Red Sox. And we have a responsibility, ironically, to every single player in that clubhouse to do everything in our power to improve the club. So it was something that we were committed to doing, and do not regret that for 1 minute.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Could you guys outline for us the specific reaction from Alex Cora regarding this deal? And with the whole player alignment piece, is there some blame to be shouldered from Alex Cora for not being able to get this player aligned with the Red Sox vision?
Yeah, I can. I can walk through the reaction from Alex, and Alex and we're talking multiple times a day. So this was not something that came from nowhere. We had some conversations. I let him know of the progress, and his position is the one that we share, which is what we believe is best for the Boston Red Sox is the one that we should act on. And when he has insights to provide based on really having, his hands on the pulse of the clubhouse and player reaction, he shares them. And that's really important information. But I think, he also understood, all of the dynamics here and what we were trying to build in the short term and the long term, and understood the direction. And ultimately Alex is someone who puts the Red Sox organization first. And so he is behind this and supporting it. I say this with full confidence that I couldn't imagine a better manager who could handle the player reaction, the clubhouse reaction, the staff reaction to this type of trade, and to get the group focused on tonight's game and to go out there and give us the best chance of beating the Seattle Mariners tonight.
Greg, you've talked a lot tonight about alignment and culture, are 2 phrases that have come up a lot. Do those take on added significance this year because you are introducing so many rookies and young players onto the major league roster, and you want to make sure that those concepts become even more important when there are younger, more maybe impressionable guys on the roster?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think culture is always important, but I think it's magnified when you have young players who are coming to the big leagues and trying to acclimate themselves to this lifestyle, expectations, demands, and to understanding that they need to convert their emotions from being happy to be here to being willing to do anything that's needed to win as quickly as possible. And we're very deliberate about the environment that we're creating to support these guys, and making sure that the messaging is the right type of messaging, so that 3, 4, 5 years from now, when there's another wave of really exciting young talent that's infusing our major league team, they have set the standard and it will be easy to pass on.
Craig, real quick. Tonight's call. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you all for sitting through that, everybody. Alignment, infrastructure, it sounds like they're building something. I don't even know what was said that was of importance, but you know what? Let's filter through all that. And you know who we're going to talk to? Andrew Callahan. He's smart. See what he says. We'll talk to Smitty. He's on the grounds in Seattle as well. So we'll break. We'll headline. I don't know what else we'll do. We're here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on The Sports Hub.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor.
Gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location.
Hi, this is Ryan Williams with 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, the official home service provider of the Boston Red Sox. With spring baseball in the air, it's time to start thinking about your air conditioning. And we're now booking our yearly air conditioning maintenance and free consultations in case you're still using those pesky window units. We have served the North Shore, Greater Boston, and Merrimack Valley for over 30 years. Check us out and book online now at call128.com or give us a call at 888-CALL-128. Go Sox.
In the locker room, guys love pranks and messing around. But the one thing you don't joke about are injuries. Listen, I've been hurt on the field, and let me tell you, it's no joke. If I couldn't make a living because of a car accident, or if I was injured because of someone else's mistake, I need help. Sokolov Law has been winning in New England for over 40 years. Trust me, I know a dynasty when I see one. That's why when it comes to lawyers, I say Jim Sokolov is the GOAT, the greatest of all time.
Sorry for the long commercials there, but we went 43 minutes straight for a press conference that talked about alignment and infrastructure, and, I tuned out. I actually got nothing out of that whatsoever. This hour of the Sports has been brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your next drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. We've had to move the schedule around. I want to welcome in Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald, joining us here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Andrew, people think of you as our Patriots guy, all right? So I don't want to box you into just one sport, but you were flame-throwing last night regarding the Red Sox, and Skaz and I, we were like, dude, we got to get Callahan on. So you're a smart guy, and you go to a lot of these press conferences. I tuned out.
Does not get it. I mean, you listen to the phrases that they use, the bingo card of cliches they filled in 2 minutes after claiming they understood why fans were upset. We express empathy. We didn't have alignment. These are hollow corporate phrases from the same front office that, according to Mass Live, told Devers in February their offseason interest in Nolan Arenado and Alex Bregman was just media spin. Don't worry about it. And then they're asked, hey, what did Devers not feel about this alignment that you keep referring to? Well, we'd rather not say. Well, how many teams did you talk to? Oh, well, the idea we didn't shop him isn't true, but I'd rather not go into mechanics. We don't think it would be good. And how many times did Sam Kennedy praise himself and Craig Breslow for being bold? He did that in the first minute of speaking. This is a team that clearly, with this trade, made a personal decision. This is not a baseball decision, no matter how many times they said it. And it was everything they said around that comment that told you that was true.
Well, that's what Dan Shaughnessy asked. Was this a baseball trade? Kennedy said no. Breslow elaborated on it. Salary was not a concern. No. So I just need another reason, to your point, about the alignment. What was it about the alignment? Was it just playing the field at all? Was it his shoulder? What was it? And then, I don't know, a week ago, Sam Kennedy says, yeah, he's taking grounders out at short. We love Raffy. Now I'm starting to wonder if Raffy was doing that in the face of all those guys.
Yeah, and that's, again, why I come to the personal part, which, look, I have been, and you would judge by my tweets last night, like a Devers defender. I am happy to tell you, because it's the truth. He was sensitive and selfish throughout this process. But when they talk about alignment, the only thing that comes to mind, Joe, that could possibly mean is you didn't do what we told you to do. And that upset us so many times that we traded you. And Kennedy said a funny thing in the middle. He goes, sometimes this happens when you're in a long-term relationship. And you know how you're arguing with like a roommate or your partner or sibling, and they say something that sends you just from annoyed to like a blind fury because they know you that well. You just get peeved and pissed and angry, and you just go straight to a blind fury. In trading him, the Red Sox skipped so many steps to remedy this situation since Breslow and Henry talked to Devers in Kansas City. Fine him, suspend him, more mediation, or just tell him to go away, or just wait it out. And you can tell the waiting was actually working because Devers said Sunday after the game the drama was in the past. And remember February? It took him just a month to go from I'm not DHing, I'm the third baseman, to their full-time DH. It felt like, despite some credible reporting to the contrary, that they were coming around, but the Red Sox decided, even though you're our best player, the most valuable person in the organization, we're not getting along, we're more important, pack your bags.
Andrew, I know you're around like the Patriots a lot when things happen, and the last couple of years have been controversial, and I'm not going to use the word toxic, but it's been in transition over the last couple of years. Have you ever seen a divide from a manager in team aspect to a front office like we're seeing in this setup today? The president and baseball operations on Zoom together while the team is across the country on the West Coast, and the manager had to tell them. And now there's players questioning why maybe the GM didn't talk to them and why it's Cora. And I'm wondering if Cora knew anything. Have you been around it like this? And what's it like for the players, in your opinion, right now, not hearing from management?
Yeah, I can't speak to the last part, right? Because, as you've said, I've covered multiple Celtics playoff runs the last 3 trips in the postseason and some regular season games in addition to the Patriots. I haven't been to Fenway like you have writers that we have, Max Rulo, Gabriel Starr, Chris Cotillo, all the other guys, Matt McCarthy, obviously, who are there a lot more. But I watch basically every game from home, and I'll go there every once in a while. So the toxicity, I think, is a different kind in that there's just clearly not a plan here, right? Like, If Devers' great crime was the sensitivity and selfishness that come with, I'm not going to play first base, did anybody bother to ask why the Red Sox suddenly needed a backup first baseman aside from the Tristan Casas injury? Craig Breslow didn't have one. And when they needed to call up Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony, okay, those were last-minute decisions. Two guys now playing out of position, and not every single day. Those guys came up because also of injury. So I don't think there's a general plan or a consistency here. That is more common, this incompetence and this being out of touch, as you're seeing now out of more reporting from, again, Chris Cotillo, Sean McAdam. June Lee had a great piece about people in Breslow's own front office calling him a stiff on a Zoom call, getting fired days later, that they just don't know what they're doing. Bill Belichick at least knew what he was doing. He just had poor decision-making and a tighter inner circle that failed him. This is not that. This is an organization that continues to make messes and chooses the worst possible solution to, they think, get out of them, but really just to continue spinning in circles.
Oh, it's bad. I agree with you. The stuff that's coming out now about he didn't ask for a trade, and then he was with John Henry. I heard they had breakfast the next morning, so maybe they were on the same page. We mentioned yesterday him saying that's all behind us. I just am curious why now. Is it just because this was the easy out because of the contract? For them to say it's not about the money. Were there better deals, which I think they might have hinted to? There might have been better deals, but it wasn't what was best for them. So if they had to take on any money, I bet you Rafael Devers is still here today. This was about the money. There's no other way around it. And this is another thing, Andrew. They're lying to the fan base. Like, I'm not a fan anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I cover the team, and I just want good baseball now. They've been lying. Today, this was a gaslighting explosion to Red Sox fans because now there's no loyalty, and I wonder when they think they're going to get rid of Meyer and all these other guys and Anthony. I wonder if they're going to sign long-term.
Well, and it had to your guy, Matt McCarthy, putting it out there in those terms of like Mookie Betts is going to go to the Hall of Fame as fast as anyone can go to the Hall of Fame once he retires. Why did you trade him? And now a guy in Devers who's not that far off his own Hall of Fame track. And I would honestly apologize to anyone listening that it's taken us this long to get to John Henry, because I think they also managed to thread the needle, speaking about Breslow and Sam Kennedy, that when they were asked, was there a mandate? Was taking on the salary a condition of the trade? John Henry can make it a condition without telling him it's a condition. And we know this because credible reporting for Baseball America today says that there was another trade on the table that John Henry vetoed, and he specifically vetoed because other team, without knowing the prospects and players involved, didn't take on the entire contract. This is a team that has routinely cheaped out on its fan base, had one of the lowest percentages of their revenue going back into their payroll last year, trailing the A's, the Rockies, and the Nationals. And oh, by the way, with all of the other assets, which is exactly how John Henry views his teams and Craig Breslow views his players, not as people, not as functioning members of their labor and their product, but as assets. John Henry is spending over $170 million on this German soccer player to come over to Liverpool. So cheers to him. But in order to carve out space for that guy, you had to send the best player, the face of your franchise in Boston, your best asset, packing across the country.
Andrew Callahan joining us here from the Boston Herald. I do have to ask, though, doesn't it seem at this point, if there is a push-pull, which maybe the Patriots have with Stephon Diggs and his contract and the physical and all that, just to kind of bring it around, does it feel like Breslow has the support of the owner? And now that Alex Cora has been given the money, there's expectations from him, right? From ownership. So in a way here, we're now getting the push-pull of Breslow and Henry versus Cora. And I'm wondering if some of the players are starting to back Cora here. This thing is not over, Andrew. I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I think that's a totally fair take. And it's absurd. You want to talk about like this exercise in gaslighting, that Breslow said they believe they're better in the short term, and he thinks they'll have more wins, or there's a great chance at the end of the season they'll have more wins than they would have otherwise with Rafael Devers, is a bold-faced lie and nonsense. You do not get rid of one of the top 10, 12 best players in baseball and get better with 3 pitchers in the minor leagues and another guy who's on the IL currently with career-long control problems. It's cool that Jordan Hicks throws 103 miles an hour. That's legitimately cool. It's not so cool he can't hit the strike zone. But so you talk about a divide, again, when you look at it through the prism of money, not just in this instance, but you go back to the Mookie Betts deal and everything that happened after the last World Series, it's cutting costs. Craig Breslow will keep his job so long as he's doing that for John Henry. Whatever happens around that is secondary to the ownership group of the Boston Red Sox.
How can you compare this trade to something maybe you've seen the Patriots or in the NFL? Is there anything you can compare it to?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because I think the easiest part would be to say for the last 10 years of Belichick's tenure, the Patriots spent the least amount of cash, hard, cold cash, on players out of anybody in the NFL. And we know Belichick had control, and obviously Robert Kraft is his boss, but they made it known, we're hands off except for towards the end, and he got in and said, no, you're actually going to fire Matt Patricia. That's the only comparison here where you are making the spending secondary, the owner's own cheapness, which is very evident and clear in both the Krafts and Henry's case. But I can't see it. I mean, this is a guy who should have retired a Red Sox. This is a guy who could have made the Hall of Fame. You had under team control on a deal that you approved as ownership about 18 months ago. And now you're sending him packing at 28, okay, carrying your offense after you've won 8 out of your last 10 and 7 out of your last 8 and just swept the Yankees to revive your season and pulling the plug. When you include all the timing, save all just the cost cutting, no, I've not seen anything like this before. I think this is honestly, frankly, more startling than the Mookie Betts trade was.
The only thing I have is maybe the A.J. Brown trade, going from just the turmoil between the coach and GM and sending him off.
That's a great one.
It's the only one I can think of because it's hard. You're right. It is absolutely startling. 2 things. All right. So you said you cover the Celtics as well. I'm not going to put you in the same ballpark as – you're not throwing anybody under the bus when I say this. All right. So I hope the reporters of baseball aren't upset when I ask this. But, there are things that I think you guys see, right? At camp last year, you might have seen that maybe it was a little bit looser with Gerard Mayo and, Van Pelt was still trying to learn. You guys would report that every day. Well, when baseball spring training happened, they were just saying this is no story, nothing to see here. I just don't think anyone looked into it, or were they not allowed to look into it? What do you think happened with the baseball writers where this wasn't a bigger story every day? Because I always say it was smelly. This whole thing was very smelly for a long time, but how come there was just nobody in the room or there to report on this? We speculated, but reporting? Like, this thing was held behind closed doors for a little bit here.
So, again, I'll say I'm not there every day, so I can't give you a perfectly accurate answer, but I will challenge and say I don't think it's fair to broad brush everyone on the beat from February up until where we are now, because I think a lot of them were taken aback, and most of them don't travel for road games, which is a sad fact. It's not their choices, but it's their bosses, including mine at the Herald, that do not send our writers every day on the road. You might see more if you were doing that. I will say, my old colleagues at Mass Live, because Chris Cotillo and Sean McAdam have excellent reporting on this, there were signs here and there, but it was the suddenness and timing that caught everyone off guard. And I think you just also have to ask yourselves, would the Red Sox trade Rafael Devers right now when he's mashing, when he's literally telling the media, yeah, it's fine, and the team finally starts to find its groove? And would they do this with a team that's not sending you their first best prospect, not their second best prospect, not even a credible hitter to replace him in the lineup? And the hitter you did get is a left-handed bat, which you have way too many of in the first place. I think those writers would have told you the sensible thing. Before they do that, they trade Durant. They trade Rafael. They would trade Willie Abreu, because that would open up a spot for Roman Anthony in the way that Craig Breslow said, he just had to open up a spot for the young guys. This helps us do this with the DH. Don't trade the best player to do that. And this wasn't the sensible thing. This wasn't the baseball thing. I think that's why the baseball writers didn't, as you say, see it coming.
All right, last one for me. There's one thing I despise now. The Bruins did it. The Red Sox did it today. I think the Patriots might have done it at times, but there's obviously a new sheriff in town. And the Celtics haven't done it yet, unless they want to say, hey, go look at our banners. But when I hear Sam Kennedy say, hey, we've been more right than wrong for the last 24 years, and Breslow say my only experience is being on championship teams, I hate when they flex on the past. Like the Bruins talking about the draft from 10 years ago or talking about winning championships from a while ago, it doesn't work in this town anymore, right? It might work in Milwaukee or other places. Here, when you talk about the past, it's what you've done for me lately, and I think that they flexed on that tonight, and it was a horrible look from the Red Sox.
Oh, it's so lame. It's so lame. It's like being cheated on. And they're like, look, we had 3 really good solid months. Remember back then, and we took this vacation. I got you this new necklace. Like, that doesn't change the pain of what happened just now, this sudden shock that everyone has to deal with and decide, do I want to stick with this team and move forward? And I would also say, hey, look, did that save you from looking at a half-empty Fenway Park, the best place to watch and play a baseball game in America in 2022, in 2023, and for most of last year, when you would go to Yankee games like the series we just had, and half of the game you are hearing "Let's go Yankees" and cheers for Aaron Judge, because if they were actually paying attention, speaking about ownership and team leadership and caring about the product in the field and the environment that they tell, come for the Fenway experience, they would know they're losing the fan base. And as I wrote at the end of my column today, congrats to them for saving some money. All it cost you was the remaining goodwill of a loyal fan base you don't deserve and a player, a star player who deserved much, much better from you.
Trust issues. I don't want to go over that park anymore right now. I want to stay away from there for a bit. I know they're building that huge thing behind the monster now, but now I have trust issues now. Now
you got to get you boots on the ground. You got to get Joe Murray reporting before you come to the show.
No,
tell us about the building.
You know what yes, I will do that. Actually, I'll tell you what where to eat in that area too. But no, if I was taught, here's the deal. These guys, I'm not trying to say that there's low IQ in the area, right? But listening to these two guys talk, they say nothing. I feel like it's Mr. Smithers and like his colleague or his young intern. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. What are you telling us? And today, I still don't know what the future is after trading Devers. I don't know what they want to do. They made mention of maybe a long-term solution at first base, but I still don't know why they traded them and where they're going. And those are the answers I want. Now, Danny Ainge used to say, hey, we're going to run with these young guys for a bit and see what we have. He was transparent. They sucked. He was transparent, though, and look at it now. These guys, I think they can't save anybody. No one's going to save them from themselves, Andrew. It's terrible to watch.
Well, look, and I said it at the top, right? You said, what was the takeaway? You got bored and tuned out, as I think probably a lot of people did. And the first thing I told you is that they don't get it. And I would guarantee you, when they huddle up with the PR staff, whom I don't know, okay, I've only covered a handful of Red Sox games. The goal was to do exactly that. Let's say as much as we can without saying anything at all and try to get this positive, rosy message across. Oh, we get it. And then they start saying stuff like, we express empathy. It didn't have alignment. And the longer they go, again, clearly it was a personal decision. And the great irony in this, again, as someone who admits Devers was sensitive and he was selfish, is that if you ask me to describe a front office that traded its best player for 30 cents in the dollar because he stamped his feet, begrudgingly followed orders, and then had the audacity to tell them no and talk poorly about them publicly, I would tell you that ownership group, that team leadership is selfish and sensitive. And I think that's what came across today. They don't care what you thought about that. They believe you're going to come back, and I think people are going to prove them wrong.
Oh, they got those 4 championships, though. You know, they can
well, those banners are on the outside, so you don't even have to go to the game to look at those. But thanks for the tip, Sam Kennedy.
So you're off now for what, 5 weeks? Is this like your vacation now?
It would be, but I got some things in the work. The Pats Interference podcast going to be with Fred and Wallach on Thursday, filling in for Hardy. So yeah, we're on and off here and there. Maybe around the July 4th holiday, we got to see what Jim Louse cooks up for me. But yeah, I'll be right where you are, pal.
I like that. Also, shout out to our good friend and your colleague, Doug Kide. I said instead of Stone Cold 316 shirts, we should have Doug Kide 317 for raising $317,000.
He's the best. I know it blew his mind, but even watching every step of that process to do that for cancer research, and this isn't like the humble, nice colleague and friend saying this on the radio. Like, think about that. $317,000 he raised, and over just 10 weeks. That was it. That's all he had.
Guys persevered. Last week we did some Beach Boys with him. He was talking about his dad. Perseverance that guy has had, man. I can't commend him enough. And you guys are like a solid tag team, and even Zach Cox for that matter. You guys are like the three-headed. You guys are like the fabulous Freebirds of the Herald.
I don't know. I mean, Zoe and Beetle have called us the Bernstein. What's the duo that broke Watergate? So I don't know if I'll take the C+ compliment here, Joe, but maybe we'll figure something out.
Do we need to get better than the fabulous Freebirds? How about the wrestling, the Shield? I don't know how much more we got to go. Maybe the Three Horsemen. I don't know. I'll make sure to align and get a better infrastructure when it comes to the name of your crew.
Yeah, look, you know, give me the ultimate compliment that apparently Craig Breslow wanted to give the Red Sox, but just couldn't, and it was all Rafael Devers' fault. I will say Doug and I are greater than the sum of our parts. How about that?
You got it. All right. Well, he's Andrew Callahan, and you're going to be able to hear him on 98.5 The Sports on Thursday morning, I believe, in with the guys. Is that it?
6 to 10.
You got it. Andrew, appreciate your time, man. Great insight. Let's do it again during football season.
You got it. Anytime, Joe.
You got it. He's Andrew Callahan, everybody. Boston Herald does an excellent job over there. And, of course, you can hear him on Thursday with the Morning Get. Fred and Friends. Fred and Friends. All right, let's break. I think we got sources on the ground in Seattle. Let's find out what's going on with Smitty. Christopher Smith on baseball next.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
quick, smelly.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
All right, back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Well, we have done more baseball tonight than the last 5 seasons. So sources on the ground, a lot of stuff with Mass Live going on. Christopher Smith, he's Smitty on baseball. Smitty, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Dude, what's going on, man? What are you thinking right now? What's happening right now?
Yeah, craziness. I mean, we just in the clubhouse a couple hours ago talked to about 5 players. Then Sam Kennedy and Craig Brezzo came on the Zoom, and then right after that we had to hustle down to the dugout to talk to Alex Cora. So there's a lot to digest right now. The players seem to just and the message I think we got from most people was, the front office doesn't need to explain this to us. We're not owed an explanation. This is what they thought was the best interest of the team. And Rafael Devers is one of 26, and they're going to move forward and try to play really well so they force the team to buy at the deadline. So, I really don't know what to think of it right now. I mean, it was kind of a weird reaction, but does that mean that they're necessarily glad to see Devers gone? No. Does that mean that they were coached up pretty well by the media relations? I don't know. But I thought that there would be more reaction or more surprise, just people saying they did say it was a shock and that it was weird timing, but you would think you would get more reaction somebody saying, yeah, well, what's the front office doing here? What's their plan? And that wasn't expressed by anybody.
Do you think there's any relief about the trade?
I think there's probably mixed emotions with different people. Some people are probably glad. Some people aren't. They're mad that they're a top 5 hitter in baseball or top 5 left-handed hitter in baseball, at least, is no longer on the team. And they're, but I think that, there's people had different opinions on this. I think there was veterans. I think we knew this from the get-go when, Devers came out and said that he didn't want to play first base, or he told them he wouldn't play first base. There were veterans that weren't happy. There were others that were on his side. And so I think, and I think Alex Cora is happy that his number 2 hitter in the lineup and his DH for all 37 games so far is gone? No, I don't think Alex Cora is necessarily happy, but he's on to the next game. That was his message today.
Chris, do you think that there's a power struggle between Cora and the front office?
I don't necessarily. It's a good question. Yes and no. I think that I really do think that Cora, if it was up to Cora, he would have kept Rafael Devers. But he also acknowledged today that things just weren't good over the past 2 or 3 months. I asked him straight up, I said, why in year 2 of a 10-year deal did this not, is it over now? Why do you think things didn't work out? And he said, I didn't want to pinpoint anything, get into any specifics, but there was obviously challenges over the last couple of months. I think that they all realized things weren't handled necessarily the exact way they should have been handled in the off season and then in spring training. But, in the end, Rafael Devers also has to be a team player and do what is best for the team. And, when a teammate, ruptures their patella tendon, it's not the same thing as in spring training when they're just telling you you're no longer going to be third base, you're just going to DH. And so, he has to be a team player there. I pointed out in New York, and there could have been some physical issues going on, but he really was very slow on his runs to first base on ground balls. In particular, one that he should have beaten out. Now, Cora said Cora acknowledged something was going on, but I think that there was kind of more of a me aspect to this season for Rafael Devers than a team, and I just don't think that that's what ownership and the front office wanted to put up with. I think that any manager would want to maybe put up with it more than them because, he's your best player. But, in the end, it didn't work out.
Do you think the young players being here, Chris, is that the reason why they made the move now after sweeping the Yankees and getting above 500?
Well, it does give them more flexibility. Now, you're also taking one of the best DH in baseball out of the lineup. Okay, so excuse me. So while it does give you more flexibility, I mean, Devers had started all 37 games at DH, and no one else had played there, and he was refusing to play other positions. While it does give you flexibility, you're also losing your best hitter. However, it does give them flexibility. And so, like those young hitters now, like you can rotate some people in the DH spot, get some people in the lineup more often. Yoshida is a factor. I didn't ask about that because we were really quick with Cora today, but he might be able to come back faster now, hitting wise as a DH. And so it gives you some more flexibility, but they think that they can be a better team for that in the long run. I think that there is more to it than just, putting up flexibility here with this current roster. I think that from what we've heard on that side, they're definitely thinking that they're going to be buyers at the trade deadline right now. I mean, they like the way the team has played over the past 10 games, and they think they will be buyers. So I think that they're going to use some of that money and use some of that flexibility to add to the roster. And, so that's the way it looks right now. In terms of Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer and Christian Campbell, do you want a guy on your team that has kind of a me first attitude and is not doing stuff for the team? Is that a bad example for those young kids? Yes, you could make the case for that too. And that's a reason why you would not want him on the team with some of those guys. But, you're probably going to find that in every locker room. So at least one player like that. So, that might have been a factor too, but I think they wanted the flexibility and to build on the team going forward.
All right, Christopher Smith joining us here, 98.5 The Sports Hubs from Mass Live. Final one for me. I know the game's about to start. Just looking at tonight, should we judge how the team responds on how they feel about the trade? And I just saw that Seattle's a big favorite tonight. Can you see Lucas Giolito continuing what he did from the last start to this start?
I don't think it should be a reflection on how they play tonight, on how they react to the Devers trade, or what that means of them playing going forward here on this road trip, because they are playing against, they are hitting against a starting pitcher that has an ERA in the twos. I mean, Logan Gilbert is one of the best pitchers. This rotation is a really good rotation, obviously, at the Mariners. So you're only as good as this, the starting pitcher you're going up against, I guess you could say. And so they say you're only as good as, the starting pitcher the next day. And so I think if you look at it, it's different than per se if, football, if somebody was traded, and as in baseball. I mean, I can't think we can look at this game and be like, the team is really down because they traded Devers and that's why they lost today. It could just be simply that they can't hit against a guy that a lot of people can't hit against. With Giolito, it's a mixed bag with him this season. It could go either way, really. He's had usually every other start's been a good one and a bad one. The last couple have been good, though, so we'll see if he figures he gets that trend going.
All right, Chris, I appreciate you joining us, man. I know it's been a busy day for you, a lot of info going on, and the game's about to start, so it's time to get back to baseball, my man. Appreciate your time tonight.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
all right,
Chris, thanks, buddy. All right, it's Christopher Smith, Sources on the Ground, everyone. Live in Seattle tonight. Game's about to first pitch in just a little bit here. Why don't we regroup as well? We'll get the headline. We'll continue. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
NBA Finals, Game 5 right now. OKC up 47-36, 4 minutes to go in the first half. In this one, Red Sox just about... Has everyone talked Red Sox all day long? Like, I'm not going to talk about Marchand, who was again unbelievable this weekend. I'm not going to take the L just yet on my SGA take that completely backfired on me because I said he sucks in fourth quarters, but then broke an all-time record with 15 in the fourth quarter to go up to even the series. That, Skaz, might go on one of the biggest swing and miss takes of all time.
Joe, Tyrese Halliburton tonight, 0 points.
Oh, okay. But I just want to acknowledge that I said he sucks. Doesn't get the same treatment as Tatum. But then broke the NBA record for most points in the fourth quarter. That I deserve that.
Between that and Matt McCarthy blessing the Red Sox over the weekend, there were some very quick old takes exposed.
Can you believe that? So I spent a lot of time with Matt McCarthy this weekend. So McCarthy basically said, I'm back in on the Red Sox, and then they trade. So not only did he call out the Beach Boys lead singer, who's no longer with us, he called out the Red Sox for being back, and then they traded down. He is the cooler.
The McCarthy kiss of death.
And then tonight he asked the question to Kennedy about, trading Hall of Famers and what's next for these young kids. And you know what the Red Sox did? They gave us the pleasure of trying to flex on the past.
The alignment, Joe. The alignment.
So, who came up with that word?
I saw some people in our YouTube chat saying use code Breslow for 20% off your next alignment. I think that's
at Town Fair Tire.
Yeah, that's maybe we can get behind that.
Oh, I like that. Who has that account? We should tell them that.
A lot of alignment talk tonight. Two more than I've ever heard in my life and ever want to hear again.
Okay. I told you I used to work in the tech world
and the car world.
Car world. We used to use terms like. Well, we'll get you in the finance office, and they'll have all the accessories that you're going to need for your vehicle. Like I used to call it the penalty box, because you were locked in there. Now, the tech business, what we would say, Skaz, is we're looking for synergy.
Oh, synergy. That was a buzzword.
Synergy, transparency.
It's a lot of proactive and reactive talk.
Collaboration.
Oh, that's a big one. Big one.
Stakeholders. Those were the big buzzwords that we used when I worked in tech. So synergy was really a big one though. Like that was we need to find the synergy between both sides here so we could really just, knock it out of the park and just have a great partnership. This one. Oof. I've heard some doozies in my day. Like, I hated the Bruins press conference at the end of the year.
Worst press conference, Bruins end of the year, Sox tonight?
I think it's Sox tonight. Because the Bruins at the end of the year, they knew no one wanted the job, and they knew that Sweeney knew that they were stuck because he put them in the situation. And Cam was just like, well, the owner only talks to me, so, it's kind of like... But now I think what we're realizing is Craig Breslow has the bat phone to John Henry. I think there's synergy between Breslow and Henry, and the alignment issues are with Cora and the team. Therefore, there is no infrastructure. So I can continue with your big buzzwords if you want them. I'll give you a big buzzword. How about this? Respond. Not perseverance. Right? Just battle back. Whoa, lead off. Is that a dog? Oh my God, the first batter of the game. What do you say? All right, Roman Anthony's first home run as a Red Sox. Woo! Take that, Seattle.
Yeah, they don't even need Devers. They got the Roman Empire.
Who needs Devers? The kid's hitting bombs out of Seattle. That pack is huge. Oh, the Wally head in full effect. Roman Anthony first dong of his career on the 13th pitch of the game, deep right field. Yeah. Devers, who needs him? Well, can we clip that, please, there? Thank you, Luke. I was looking for buzzwords, and then Roman. How about Roman Anthony? Is that a buzzword? Roman Anthony. Dongs. Should we say dongs anymore?
I don't know, Joe. I don't think so.
Can we come up with our own name?
Well, we know we're not going to get the Connor Wong report anytime soon because that guy can't knock in a run. It's Carlos Narvaez's team now.
Narv Dog.
Narv Dog.
Did you see Anthony say, let the big dog eat? No. I feel like we should call it Tony. All right. Well, Roman Anthony went deep, everybody. Richard is in Lowell. Hi, Richard.
Hi, guys. Listen, I know this is a tough day for Red Sox fans. I'm a Liverpool fan. I'm from the area. The one thing that I always hate whenever they do anything for the Red Sox is there's always somebody who weighs in and says, it's because they're doing this for Liverpool. All right. I think you just had a guy on from the Herald who's like, this money's going to secure a new German player over there. The business of soccer and baseball is apples to oranges. All right. It doesn't compare. And believe it or not, Liverpool is a more valuable product than the Red Sox. It brings in more money than the Red Sox, merchandising, TV, and that team continues to win. Mm-hmm. So they did. They spent $170 million in order to buy basically a player out of his contract and then negotiate his salary. Right? The business of soccer is wild. You can actually do that. You don't have to trade it and everything else.
Oh, I know.
But it always irritates me when somebody who's a sports reporter doesn't grasp that and climbs on and goes, oh, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're taking Devers, and it's going all the way over to Liverpool. Like, that's not how it works. Liverpool makes some money. Believe it or not, they are good owners over there. They may be sucky owners over here, which they definitely seem to be, since now you don't have Mookie Betts or now Devers. I mean, or Mookie, Bogarts, and Devers. You don't have any of those guys anymore, which is embarrassing. But believe me, Liverpool makes enough money to pay for their own players. They're not taking it from the Red Sox, who are struggling to fill the stands.
Well, if I asked you if Mohamed Salah wasn't on if they traded Mohamed Salah, how would you feel?
Well, I mean, I would. At this point, he's probably their greatest player in the history of that franchise.
So how would you feel?
Oh, I'd be crushed.
Okay,
I'd be crushed.
How about Trent?
Is Devers the greatest player in the history of your franchise, though?
No, but well, then what about Virgil Van whatever or Trent Alexander?
Virgil Van Dijk?
Yeah, or Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like those are
Trent
three
Alexander-Arnold just left for Madrid.
I know, but dude. I only know soccer because I bet on it. All right. I'm just trying to give you. I'm just trying to give you names of guys that were there and not there anymore, and how you feel.
But the thing is, they lose them every year. All right, and some years they do not replenish, right? Going into this season, which they won with a brand new manager, they brought in one player, and he got into maybe a dozen matches at most, didn't start. They spent no money, and the fan base was pissed.
Yes.
All right, we were all upset. And then they went on and they won the league, back in the Champions League, crushed it and everything else. And this year they're spending beyond Thunderdome, right? And they're doing it for the right players. They are. But there is a difference here. And Liverpool is probably, to be honest with you, more of a cash cow than the Red Sox are. It's a global fan base. I mean, baseball is to a degree, but let's be honest, it's not when it comes to soccer. Like the Champions League alone, you have, it's insane how many people will tune in to watch Liverpool play if they get to that. It's not like the World Series.
I watch the games. I know.
Yeah, so you get it.
No, Richard, I understand. Let's agree here. The Liverpool has nothing to do with Rafael Devers.
Nothing to do with Rafael Devers. Yes. So I can't stand it when there's a reporter from the Boston Herald or the Boston Globe.
Hey, real quick, in defense of Andrew Callahan, who covers the Patriots, I scheduled him tonight, but Unfortunately, he had an opinion on the Red Sox, so his expertise is the Patriots. But it's my problem. I asked him about the Red Sox.
All right. Well, then I guess I should be upset at you then, Joe. Either way.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate Richard's call. He can call in anytime he wants.
We're certainly setting the record for Sox and Liverpool talk on the night show tonight.
I can fully admit to you that I am not great with my Liverpool roster. But I know a couple of the guys, guess. So when I brought up,
Mo
Salah, I feel like that would be a, heartstring move for Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely.
How to explain maybe how maybe Salah isn't Rafael Devers, but could Mookie Betts someday go down as a Mo Salah?
I like it, Joe. I like what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to localize Liverpool to Boston, but I want to make it clear that Liverpool has way more money than the Red Sox, and Rafael Devers being traded has nothing to do with Liverpool. It has nothing to do with the new building in the back. It has nothing to do with Fenway Racing. It has nothing to do with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I just think anything John Henry does is smelly. Smelly. But this move has nothing. All this move is a reset of the money. They don't want to pay a guy that doesn't want to show the young players to play multiple positions when you make a lot of money and be a leader, so they're resetting it. If they spend the money, will we think differently? Maybe. Maybe we will. Tom is in the Bay Area. Tom.
Joe, it's getting ridiculous with the Sox, Joe. I remember being 11 years old and us getting Manny Ramirez when he was 28. And, our fortunes changed shortly after that. And here we are. Now we're getting rid of Devers at 28. How far things have come, huh?
I don't like it. But listen, I think they needed to change the culture in that room. And personally, I think this is the first move. And I wonder if the next move is Cora.
If they bring in some real solid players, at the deadline or in the offseason, all will be forgotten. But it hurts right now, Joe. It hurts.
It hurts, bro. I appreciate you calling in. Manny was signed. The new ownership came in and they wanted to spend money. Actually, no, Manny was signed with Duquette, right? Yeah, that's right. So they wanted to get rid of Manny. They didn't want to pay that $20 million a year. They also didn't think he was a team player. But the way that the team was building with the personalities like Pedro Martinez, and you eventually had guys like Jason Varitek coming through, and Derek Lowe was coming along. You ended up really piecing together Johnny Damon as a really good signing in center field. You really developed the team and players around Manny. You ended up finding guys like Kevin Millar and David Ortiz, for that matter. And David Ortiz took the next step. Him and Manny were in the middle of that batting lineup. I'm trying to think. No, so Bill Miller was one of the guys that they brought in back then. Todd Walker? No, it was Mark Bellhorn was the. But they had pieces. Like Trot Nixon was a piece for years. They signed both Damon and Manny Ramirez, who were all-stars. Like, they had pieces. They were good. Nomar was outstanding. The one thing you can say about all those guys that moved on, they were all at the end of their contract. Mookie Betts, Nomar, Manny, you name them, they were at the end of their deals. I think David was Beckett on the end of his deal. I can't remember. David Price, I think, had a year or two left. But do you see what I mean by the end of their contracts? This here is 2 years in. You don't see it often. You just don't. Oh, the Liverpool people. The Sox and Liverpool have nothing to do with each other. Nothing. And yes, soccer makes more money than baseball. That's a hot take. That's a scorcher. Let me tell you. All right, well, can we just do something different like musings or whatever next? Because I just need a break. I think you all do too. Let's have some fun next here on the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to.
is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Unrelated to sports, so sit back, relax, and get your mind in the game and listen to the words of a grown man complaining.
It was good. Sunday was some good theater. I know people were, maybe not the names you wanted at the top of the leaderboard, but in terms of a U.S. Open, that's what you want. A guy who tried to throw up all over himself and give the tournament away on his front nine. He went out and he won the U.S. Open on the back nine. And I think that's kind of become a trend recently in the U.S. Opens. Guys actually, winning it. Bryson. There's been some really good ones lately, and JJ Spawn kind of to call him an unknown is a little unfair, I think, because if you're a PGA Tour, follower weekly, you know who he is. But you didn't know who JJ Spawn was, I'm sure.
Except for when I read his name, that he was the leader on Thursday.
Exactly. So yeah, if it's a cool story. He's 8th in the world now. He's exempt into U.S. Opens, gets major exemptions for a couple of years now. So the story was great. His comeback, his drive on 17. Was reminiscent of Morikawa at the PGA a few years ago, and then he hits the longest putt of the week to win it on 18. So in terms of the theater, I thought it was great. Maybe not the names you wanted, but it was a good week for the course. The course put up a fight, and that's what you want at the U.S. Open.
And now we get the Travelers locally here?
Yes, the Travelers Championship.
I saw it driving by Braintree this week.
Yeah, down in is it Cromwell, maybe?
Where the hell? Yeah.
I've been there before. I should know. I've been to the tournament.
Saw a big billboard.
Yeah. Right. Keegan's won it before. I think he called into Felger Maz afterwards.
Oh, wow. What'd you think of Marchand this weekend?
Pretty good. I still trade him 10 times out of 10.
So take that out of it.
Yeah, I don't get that thing.
Do you think here in Boston we're starting to get the why can't we get guys like that? It's happening more than often now.
Yeah, I think there's some warped, revisionist history around the Marchand thing. We're not winning with him here.
But there's Mookie Betts, who's won a championship.
Yes.
There's Marchand, who's on his way to a championship. Aaron Neesmith, people want to bring that one up.
No, thank you.
Go ahead. No, I'm thinking of who else? Maybe Joe Kelly was a guy that was, pitching elsewhere. Kiki Hernandez, no, vomit. But I just felt like I've seen it more. Kyle Schwarber was one, actually, when he was crushing home runs for the Phillies. Anyways, and then Stefan Diggs says on Instagram, he's trying to find a balance between family and work, but it seems like work is taking precedence. Wow, thank you, Stefan Diggs.
They break out the violin.
Imagine that. All right. I went to Mike Sarge Riley's wedding over the weekend. It was fantastic. It was everything you thought a Mike Sarge wedding would be. So Mike got married in a church. Happy hour, and I'm talking to this guy, and I didn't really realize he was the priest. I was swearing I was like a sailor. And we come to find out he went to a rival high school. And then I told, and then he was like, oh, I'm like, yeah. And then he texted somebody. He's like, Joe Murray? And the guy goes, I hate that guy. And it was awesome. So then another guy goes, oh, you went to, Trinity. I'm like, yeah. He goes, man, I hated you. And he's like, you're just too big. And I'm like, well, thank you, man. So I'm just running into these people talking about Glory Days, Skaz, 25 years ago. All right, I was the Joe Dozer 25 years ago. And I still have people hate me because of it. And I loved it because I was sitting around there and I'm like, man, I'm in all these guys' heads. Anyways, I hung out with a priest all night long. And I was talking to him about doing a podcast. And he looked at me straight in the eye and he goes, you think I'm going to get that thing passed?
Joey and the father.
Well, he has another father that he was with named Chip. Dump button, please. No, you don't have to push it, just in case I say it. But I said that you should call the podcast Holy Chip. And I was like ready. I was gonna start it. I was gonna be the producer. Ryan Seacrest is the name underneath. It would have been me. I had this, but imagine. Have you ever drank?
Yes.
Have you ever drank with a priest before? Like hung out and drank with a priest.
I gotta say, Joe, I've not spent much time around priests.
I shared my thoughts on the Catholic Church in my 12 years that I put into it. You know, he didn't try to lure me back or anything like that. We just had a good conversation. And then what it came down to, Skaz, was him and we talk to people every day. He has an audience. I have an audience. We gave each other tips on how to, communicate to audiences, how to sometimes solicit to audiences. My sins. I didn't want to do that.
No confession, Joe? No confession?
He's a big listener. He loves Matt McCarthy.
Good weekend. Well, bad weekend for McCarthy, but good weekend for people with McCarthy stock.
Anybody who came up to me to say, Joe, I said, dude, Matt McCarthy, that's a star. And he was like the Beatles. I go, do you know how to yeet? He goes, yeah. I go, just let's go. And I got up and he goes, no. Come on. It's Mike. Come on. One night. He got up with me. And then all of a sudden, the music changed. Baltazar, by the way, on the DJ there. Shout out Baltazar. All of a sudden, it was the House of Pain whistles. And all of a sudden, I'm like, Andy, go like this. Jump around. Me, Sarge, and Andy. And I'm trying to throw Andy up in the air. Then I started trying to throw Sarge up in the air. But it was jump up and get down. Highlight of my night. Matt McCarthy, nowhere to be found. Again, he was the star of the night. But I got to jump around with Sarge and Andy Wong. I loved it.
Sounds like a pretty good weekend to me, Joe.
I loved it. So I needed to share that. I hung out with a priest.
And then you jumped around with Andy Wong and Mike Riley. Just another normal night for Joe Murray.
Oh, it was glorious. Oh, nobody understands. It doesn't hit as well as what happened. Birthdays today, Skaz. Why don't we start out with Tupac Shakur? Does Luke know who Tupac is?
Of course he says.
Sometimes I gotta ask. What's your favorite Tupac song there, Luke?
All Eyes on Me. Quick answer.
Oh, that's a good one. Tupac's birthday today. It's Justin Jefferson's birthday today. I had an on-card up to 10 auto of Justin Jefferson that Eddie Levert, 83 years old today. Laurie Metcalf, 70 years old today. John Chow. He was MILF man, right? MILF. He was Harold of Harold and Kumar, I believe. Eddie Cibrian. Daniel Bruhl.
Joe, speaking of Liverpool, it is former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp's birthday today.
Oh!
It is also, I believe, you mentioned this man. Maybe it was off the air, but it is Phil Mickelson's 55th birthday today.
Oh, yeah, didn't make the cut.
Did not make the cut.
Happy birthday to MC Ren. For those who don't know who MC Ren is, he was in NWA with Dr. Dre and Eazy-E. And Ice Cube, our good friend of the show.
Great friend of the show.
If you want to listen to the song No Vaseline, you will find out what Eazy-E did with MC Ren.
Joe, it is James Brian Hellwig's birthday today, also known as the Ultimate Warrior. Did you say that?
Jim Hellwig, no.
Yeah, the Ultimate Warrior's birthday today.
You know what's sad about him? He got inducted into the Hall of Fame on a Saturday or Sunday. Did the Hall of Fame speech on Monday Night Raw on the Monday and died the next day.
That's insane.
Like he was not involved, came back, Hall of Fame, did a great speech, did a Warrior Foundation, dead. That's all I got, man. Anything else for birthday?
Celtics fans will know this name. Joe, it is Tree Rollins' birthday today.
Yeah, him and Danny Ainge. Tree Rollins was the backup center to Shaq for the Orlando Magic. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He was a mentor to Shaq. Then he became a big man coach. How about our boys of the Red Sox just putting up numbers?
It's also Roberto Duran's birthday today.
Ooh, boxer, right?
I don't know much. Yeah, boxer. Don't know much about him, but
yeah. It was a local guy, right? Roberto Duran. Why do I feel like he was? Yeah.
Says he's from Panama.
Yeah. Well, he might. Oh, I don't know why I felt like he was. Have I met him? It was Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, Marvin Hagler. Wow, he even said today on his birthday he's going to live until he's 100, he said in a quote. There's also a best and worst of Roberto Duran, if you'd like to read that on Boxing Scene.
Sure, Joe, I got a quick musing for you. I have to get a tetanus shot tomorrow.
A little booster.
Yeah, just was helping, clean out the place of a deceased relative and got poked with something old and metal, so you just got to be careful out there, Don't take any risks.
Anything happen?
No, it just poked me in the finger.
You're just being proactive.
Little blood. I called my doctor. They said you haven't had one in 10 years. You're due for a booster this year anyways. Just come in tomorrow and get it. So, yeah, just be proactive, Joe.
It's going to be right in the middle, like it's a booster.
Easy money.
Well, for them.
Well, yeah, that too.
Good for you being proactive, Skaz. Some people will just be tough and be like, oh, I don't need it. I got
Yeah, I mean, it barely got me at all, but why take the risk?
You ever get a spider bite before?
Yes.
Dude, they blow up and then they become big, giant pus balls.
Not great.
Then you got to squeeze them out. They're gross. Got one really bad once. Had to get, bite remover, and it worked quickly. But, man, it was ugly. All right. Well, I needed that breather for a minute here. Let's get back to the Red Sox. They're doing well tonight. By the way, what'd you think of the Desmond Bain to the Magic? Is that going to really put them over the top now?
I was very surprised at the amount. 4 unprotected firsts for Desmond Bain.
Was that to get rid of Pope?
You saw how good he was against the Celtics, Joe.
They just declined the option on Gary Harris. Poor Gary Harris. All those Michigan State guys, huh? The only one who's ever really panned out is Draymond.
Yeah, who's Denzel Valentine was another one, right? Trying to think, yeah.
I'm sure there's a few sprinkled around the league, but... All right, there's your musings for tonight. I see you guys lined up on the phone lines. We'll get to you. We'll take a break. I'm Joe Murray, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on The Sports Hub. afternoons. Right now, Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Yeah, Buster Posey kind enough to hop on less than 24 hours after making the biggest trade since ... I mean, fill in the blank. I mean, I go way back to Al Rosen getting Kevin Mitchell and Dave Javecki. Obviously, Brian Sabian, the Matt Williams deal, all that, which we can talk about in just a second. But I feel like we haven't addressed the other big question, which is where he's going to play. So tell us right now your view of where Devers will play.
Yeah, I mean, I think first we need to have a conversation one-on-one with him, myself, Bob, Zach, and see where it fits. You know, I mean, there's the possibility to play third some. There's possibility with Chapman out. There's possibility to get some in at first, DH. You know, I think we have to be careful as well that he has been DHing all year, that we kind of ease him back into playing a position. But by all accounts, from different people I've talked to across the league and industry, that this guy, he's a winner. He wants to do what he can to help the team. And obviously there's been some back and forth with him and the Red Sox, and I don't have all the details of kind of where things went sideways with them. But, you know, looking forward to getting to talk to him in person, and talk to him yesterday after the trade was completed. And he's excited to be in San Francisco and help our team win.
All right, a bunch of baseball people talking a lot. But that was Buster Posey of the Giants who made the move. Yeah, Rafael Devers will play wherever they want. Third, DH, first, he'll do whatever. I said that this year, by the way. If the Red Sox were good, he'd play wherever he wanted to. They're not. So therefore, he was a bad teammate. And now he's going to the Giants, which, by the way, I think is a good spot for him. I think he's going to rake at that stadium. So in the end, now that Devers is gone, are you going to look at him as, man, they had a nails third baseman, dude. You know, they had Adrian Beltre. They got, you know, Rafael Devers. They've had a history of great third basemen. They really have. You know, Wade Boggs, Hall of Famer, right?
Uke
was played multiple positions, by the way. Mike Lowell was an MVP, right?
Loved Mike Lowell.
I'm trying to think of who Xander Bogaerts had to go there, right, to win a championship in 2013. But they've had really good third basemen, man. And now they got Bregman, who's a Gold Glove third baseman, excuse me. I think Devers should eventually go to first. I'm going to be candid and tell you, I don't know if he can be a good first baseman. Yeah, I'd love to sit here and tell you, yeah, he could play. He should be able to play there. I don't know if he can. I don't know if Rafael Devers is a fielder anymore. So I think that what they'll do is they'll probably platoon him at third every once in a while to stay fresh. Pablo Sandoval played third for them. I think they can get by. But there's no doubt about it. He's going to, oh my God, the Dodgers and Giants now. It's a good little rivalry now.
You got the Padres with Bogarts, too. You got the Diamondbacks who have been hanging around. So, yeah, Devers, Bogarts, and Mookie are all in the National League West.
Anybody else?
Kike Hernandez is out there.
No, who's on the...
Torey Lovullo's the manager of the Diamondbacks, right? Got one on every team.
Jesus. That sucks.
And Mookie still hurts the most.
He had a smile on his face. I actually watched Sunday Night Baseball last night just to Kershaw was like, hey, he's one of the top 10 hitters in the league. I'll take him. The Red Sox are a laughing stock around. You know who did say, though? Steve Phillips said that he'd do the deal, too. I get why the Red Sox did the deal. I get it. They traded away another Hall of Famer, and the fans are pissed. Why? The fans have a right to be pissed. I get why they did it. Who cares, right? They got Roman Anthony who just homered. What does it matter anymore? Tom is in San Antonio. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Joe, what's good, brother?
Hey.
Hey, so first off, want to go and give you a quick shout out for hanging out with a Catholic priest. That's pretty cool. I know a couple of them myself, and they're pretty chill dudes.
They're chill as hell. It's just funny because he's like, well, really, Joe, I swear I drink. I just really can't date any women. And I said, all right, man, no problem at all.
Yeah, it's pretty much the only difference, right? They can have a good time, and I've partied with a few of them, and it's pretty fun.
It was cool.
But what I really wanted to talk to you about was a food special that I found on the internet today. And I know that you're a guy who loves some food.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a full rack of ribs. So we're talking 2 sides of ribs here. We're talking pork ribs.
Mm-hmm.
And one side, they put fettuccine Alfredo on top of these 8-hour smoked ribs. The other side, they go and put some fries and onion rings. They top it off with some bacon, some chives, and some kind of sauce. It didn't have any dipper. I know you're a dipper, but what do you think?
Well, you know what I would do? I would use the sauce from the ribs and dip in the Alfredo with my French fry.
Oh.
And then I would cut some of the pork and put it on my fettuccine and have it as like a short rib.
Okay.
And then I would probably put some French fries on top of that too.
Oh. And if you can get like some bread with that, make a nice little sandwich with it.
Oh, that's true. What kind of bread would we use on that? Would that be a like a ciabatta, or what kind of bread were we talking here?
I don't know. Like if we're thinking classic Texas barbecue, it'd be have to be like Wonder Bread.
Like a Wonder,
like,
a nice piece of Wonder Bread.
Yeah.
With fettuccine on one side, rib on the other, with a little fries right in the middle, and smash it down, and then cut it. And show. Oh, now I'm in.
Oh,
and we can dip it in the Alfredo.
Let's go.
San Antonio.
Let's go.
Huh? What do you got? You guys, you must eat well down there, huh?
Yeah, we definitely eat well. I used to live in New Hampshire, and I probably gained about 100 pounds living down here. So,
You ever go to those Alamo places that have movie theaters?
Oh yeah, Draft House.
Yeah, we got one here now in Boston. Should I go?
Yeah, wicked, dude. It's a great place.
Wicked.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go and I'll do a review and let you know.
Please do. Great place. Good food.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you. I'll take his word for it. How about Danny in North Andover? Hey, Danny.
Hello?
Hey, Danny, you're on the air. How are you tonight?
Danny from North Randolph.
Dave from North Randolph. Randolph?
Yeah, Randolph.
Where's North Randolph?
Right outside Reedville, actually.
Reedville, Hyde Park.
On the other side of the Blue Hills.
Oh, well, okay. So, I mean, I know Randolph pretty well. Where are you from Mazzeo Drive or the movie theater?
The other side, that would be the north. If you're coming off the highway, exit 5B.
5B, okay. So not towards
La Scala,
oh, yeah, I know
1048 Grill, which used to be O'Donnell's.
Yep, I know.
You're from,
Hyde Park.
You probably know the other pizza place, the other in town, South Randolph. But anyways, you touched upon Trot Nixon, which, before Trot Nixon would be Mike Greenwell.
Are you talking Linwood?
Yes, Linwood. Yes.
Right, gotcha.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Gotcha.
I want to shout out my boy Johnny in Brockton.
Oh, yeah. What happened there, Skaz? No shout-outs tonight?
Yeah, no shout-outs. Do that on your own time. It's not interested in your buddy in Brockton. I'm sorry.
Shout out to Johnny in Brockton.
Yeah, shout out. Good for you, Johnny. Hope things are well. North Randolph? Never heard anyone call it North Randolph in my life.
I've never heard North Randolph before.
I have a family that's lived in Randolph, and I've never heard that.
I thought he said North Reading.
Yeah, that's what I think that's what Luke thought as well, because that's what anyone would think. Or Luke said North Andover is what he thought.
Oh, North Andover, yeah. Well, those are two different areas, Randolph and Andover.
I would say so.
Those aren't even near each other.
No, not exactly neighbors.
That's kind of like Austin, Massachusetts versus Boston, Massachusetts. Well, the Pacers made a little run, huh?
And TJ McConnell showing up in the third quarter. SGA, though. I don't want to do the free throw merchant thing, but I've been watching a ton of this game because we're obviously working, but I looked up for a couple seconds and, oh boy, he gets some calls.
Okay. I take the L on my SGA take on the fourth quarter. All right. Can I disclaimer, take the L?
We'll accept.
Okay. That game had Scott Foster written all over it.
The extender.
No, that was a fostering. We all got fostered. Bad. You know how Freddie got fingered? We got fostered. Anyways, you know what? I'm going to make a prediction here. I think the Pacers win this game.
I would like to agree with you, Joe. I'm not sure the refs are going to let that happen.
I mean, I don't know. Halliburton, has he scored yet? Oh, that's not going to help. That little three at the buzzer isn't going to help anybody there. Has Halliburton scored?
Not that I've seen, but who knows?
Let's look. Well, he scored. He didn't score at halftime. He has 2 points. He's 0 for 6. Where are they? Oh, TJ McConnell leading the way there. Can they get anything else from anybody else? Red Sox still lead 2-0. Hey, I'll tell you what the score is and who hit them and all that stuff here in headlines. I'm Joe Murray.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
After 3 quarters, the Oklahoma City Thunder lead the Pacers 87-79. It is a 29-point night for Jalen. realize what's happening with the sports in Boston, or in New England, I should say. For years, the Patriots dominated. They were the best. They were the class of the NFL. They were controversial. They had the best coach. They had the best quarterback. They had guys that were doing things that were terrible but still would win. They had personalities like Rob Gronkowski. They had the Julian Edelmans of the world and the Wes Welkers. They had the greatest kicker of all time. Like, they had just so many huge polarizing personalities for years that they were great. They were great. To me, that's the greatest franchise to cover for me. Okay? Now, the Celtics have had ups and downs, but for the most part, when they are right, they're the best. And they failed this year, and now they have a lot of changes they need to make, and I don't think they're going to flex on the banners and all that stuff. I don't think they can. Now, the Bruins really have won championship in 50 years, and really are the most disappointing of the bunch. Of the four major sports teams, the Bruins are absolutely the most disappointing franchise without a doubt. And yes, they have clout. Yes, they're respectable. Yes, they have Hall of Fame players, some of the best of all time. But one championship in 50 years, that's the story. When it comes to the Red Sox, this has been a good ownership group. Now, it's not great when you're in last place, you're the worst team, and then you win a championship the next year, and then you kind of fall off. So it's not the greatest, but winning in 18, trading Mookie Betts, letting go of Xander Bogaerts the way that it all happened, and then now signing because you were forced to, and trading Rafael Devers, and making decisions on certain guys that just maybe weren't their guys. It's questionable by far, questionable. But here's what I'm noticing in this town. Of the four major sports, Mike Vrabel, the new coach, former player, right? Marco Sturm just got hired with the Bruins, former player. The Red Sox manager is Alex Cora, former player. The only team in this town without a former athlete is Joe Mazzulla, who, again, was a former athlete, but didn't play for the Celtics. And really filled in because Ime Udoka got fired, yet won a championship. Has more clout than everybody. Maybe Cora. I don't know. He's probably got more clout than Cora. We can debate that one another night. But is this where it's going? Because people are hoping that the Patriots will change with Mike Vrabel. The Bruins, I mean, they just hired a guy they were the last team to hire somebody. And now the Red Sox said, where I'm going with this is analytics. People crap on the Celtics in their analytics. They think it cost them a potential championship, and it might have. The Red Sox have gotten a lot of analytics. How's that working out with their manager that used to play? The Bruins, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Is analytics involved? I don't know. But they brought a guy here that was part of one of the worst trades in sports history. So I don't know if it's going to work. Mike Vrabel just admitted this weekend that they are hiring analytic people. I'm just wondering if that's the way now. Is it about former athletes? Or is it about a coach that just follows and does what the organization says? I think this is what's going on in sports right now. There's no real feel for the game anymore. It's all about statistics and where's the emotion? Where's the hunch? Where is the baseball eye or the sports eye anymore? You could say whatever you want about Bill Belichick. He was stubborn. He didn't use analytics. But you know what? The guy had hunches. They didn't all work. The guy made decisions. Yep, he wouldn't take responsibility at times. But for the most part, Bill Belichick made decisions based off his experience and what he knew or his ego and arrogance. And it helped him and it hurt him. But I would rather that than listen to two guys sit in a Zoom meeting today in two different places who are way smarter than I am, who absolutely said nothing at all. Today was a waste of our time. It was an absolute waste of 43 minutes. We sat through it. They gave us nothing. Instead, they flexed about their 24-year run and how many championships they have. Or Craig Breslow wanted to say, well, through my experience with championship teams, stop. I need all the teams to stop flexing on what you've done in the past. Because now I don't know what the right way is anymore. Is it analytics? Is it hunch? Is it coaches who played? Is it guys who just follow scripts? I don't know the blueprint. I think that's where we're at in sports. Is it about having the best player anymore? I'm not sure. I don't even know how to build a franchise anymore the way things are going. This year, the Patriots have all this hype. Over 8.5 wins. Over 8.5 wins. You mean to tell me they're going to be over 5 games better than they were a year ago? Tell me where the upgrades really were. Oh, it's the coach. Blah. Drake May, year 2. Okay. This is why it's going to be a very interesting summer. Skaz, am I just yelling at this point? Coaches who played versus stats and what's working and what's not, and I don't know anymore.
You're venting, Joe.
What works? What is the blueprint? Is there a blueprint anymore?
I think that's something that was asked in that press conference. I think is one of the more fair questions can be asked right now. What is the Red Sox plan? What is their model? What do they want? Because they have guys like Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts who do everything right, say everything right, team guys, win first guys, see you later. Then you have another guy like Rafael Devers who you decide, I'm going to give $350 million to, not a team first guy, a winner, an unbelievable talent, Hall of Fame level talent, love him as a player, but not the best locker room guy, apparently, from what we're hearing now. So what do the Red Sox want? And why can't they identify, what they want and build on it? I think they're all fair questions. You bring up Vrabel. I think we're going to kind of in the wait-and-see approach with what he does with the Patriots. I know me and you were a little more skeptical than I think a lot of the rest of the market in terms of Vrabel taking over. I'm not an Alex Cora guy. Joe Mazzulla's won a championship, so I think the Celtics are still in the best spot in town by a wide margin, but the other three teams.
But it's an analytic, guys. And analytics are killing the game, and you can't win championships with your analytics.
I'm with you, Joe. I don't think we know. I think we're being fed a lot of different things at different times, and it doesn't really add up.
What are the Pacers doing? Can you tell me? Can you at least tell me what they're doing?
They're getting a front row seat to the whistle show right now, from what I've seen.
It's 94-88 right now. 9 minutes to go. I'm telling you, Uncle Mo is with the Pacers. Uncle Mo, for those that don't know, is momentum. Siakam just threw a little bit of a shoulder and forearm and got the foul call, so good for him. He'll be going to the free throw line, making it a 2-possession game. I'm telling you, I think Pacers win this game, dude.
I hope so, Joe. I think that would be great theater.
Do you know what it is? It's the whole front run aspect that works for some teams. Does Jalen Williams continue this? There's 9 minutes to go here. Can he defend Pascal Siakam and put up 20, 30 points tonight? I don't know. I think we no longer know what the blueprint is. That's my take. All right, something happened tonight that hasn't happened since Rafael Devers. I'll tell you that on the other side here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
What's going on with Luke over there? Is he awake? There he is. Just making sure you're up. You look like you're thinking heavy.
He's locked into the video.
Oh, we did a video tonight. What was it about again?
Athletes leaving.
Yeah. Mine was boring.
Mine too. But I gave some throwbacks in there that hurt me as a child, Willie McGinnis, Adam Vinatieri.
Vinatieri hurt me.
Even Chara.
You know what's sad that I didn't bring it up? Roger Clemens. I'm almost sad at myself I didn't mention that. Something that happened tonight that hasn't happened in a long time. Rafael Devers hit his first Major League homer in Seattle in 2017. 8 years later, Roman Anthony does the same a day after Devers was traded. Imagine that, huh? If Roman Anthony can be as good as Rafael Devers, they got something. Also in this basketball game, well, it was a 5-point game. Now it's an 8-point game. Thanks to Luke Fitzpatrick. Thanks to James Scaramazzino. Scaz. I'm Joe Murray. We're back here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Do some Marshan talk. Later, everybody. I'm Joe Murray, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
From the Telstra Time Studios, WBZ FM and HD1.
It's not just